All right, Inner Circle family. Let's do a quick mic check. That way I know that you can hear me loud and clear. Also, just a reminder, the class chat is located in Discord under HTC Inner Circle Class Chat IC. So if you're not already in there, make sure you are there. And just drop it in the comments that you can hear me. Yes, yes, loud and clear. Well, welcome Inner Circle family members to tonight's very first class of the Ultra High Ticket Closer. Now you have been patiently waiting for this, and it is finally here. So without further ado, let's bring with us Sergeant Desmond Soon.
All right, this is the ultra high ticket closer. Week one. How many of you would like to know how this modern day, how B2B sales is done? Type in the chat, say I. Now we have done this in other classes and we will do this in this class. Type in the chat as well. Where are you calling in from? Type in the name of your country and city. And Dana, if you would like to, you can also help me read out some of the names that I was seeing from the
Yes,
places.
they are going fast. Just Montreal, Bedford, Toronto, California, Malaysia, Canada, again, Malaysia, USA, New Zealand. It's going fast, chat.
That's right, California, Taiwan, Indianapolis. I'm
Ohio,
seeing Switzerland, Mauritius, Bangalore, India,
Italy.
Austria, yes, Italy, Alberta, Germany. So what do you see? What do you see in the chat? What does this tell you? This is a global community that's here. There are members that are calling in and joining us live at time zones where it is perhaps 12, maybe 1, 2, 3 in the morning. Type in the chat. There we go. I already saw it. 3 a.m., 4 a.m.
2 a.m. 2,
Well done.
wow. A lot of 2 a.m.s.
So no excuses, right? No excuses for those in time zones which are not unusual. There are other members who are here. They're putting in the price. They're paying the price to learn this new skill. So let's get started. The hybrid approach to B2B selling, how to close bigger deals and ultra high ticket B2B sales. Now, just for your information, this is confidential and it is exclusively only for the ultra high ticket closers. So can you make a promise? This is not to be shared with any outsiders. Dan Locke made me specifically ask that question. Can we agree on that? Say yes. Okay, so you guys are gonna love this. Now, but before we begin, you've already heard our very wonderful Dana, who's already been speaking. Dana, why don't you introduce a bit more about yourself? Because I don't think all the members know a bit about your background, your story, and how it plays into B2B sales or even ultra high ticket closing, or even helping the community to get to that level.
Yes, well, a little bit about my story. As you guys already know, my name is Dana, and I started my journey almost 2 years ago. I'm going to tell it all in a nutshell, but basically, I left school without a degree, started to work in a full-time job as a mailman, but soon I realized that there had to be more to life. Now, I already had a lot of books to help me figure out my passion and my why in life, but still, I was stuck. And I remember sitting in the library with my books thinking, how do I even start? Where should I even start? And what should I even do? And luckily, not too many days later, I went on a search on the internet trying to find a program that could help me make some money. And first, I came across a program where I could make money online by trading. I'm actually not so sure anymore what it was about, but for some reason, the payment didn't go through. Even after several tries, it just wouldn't work. So I searched further. Now, this may sound familiar to a lot of you, but I came across Sifu through his YouTube channel. And that made me curious, so I went on the official website, looked for mentorship, and I was sold. Now, if the payment for the first program had gone through, I would not have been able to join HTC, or at least not at that time. And still up to this day, I am so grateful that the first payment didn't go through. Otherwise, I might not have been here. And since I joined HTC, it has been the best, most exciting journey of my life. I went to Vancouver, got to meet a lot like-minded people, joined Team Shield, became a community ambassador, community leader, community host, and now I'm here as a community manager. Now, as you might hear, English is not my first language. That's because I come from Belgium and my mother language is Dutch. But that's actually not important. But the reason why I ask is I wanted to see how many of you is where you come from a different country and English is not your first language. Let me know in the comments. Yeah, there are a lot of you. All right. But that is actually how I came across HTC, and still I'm so grateful that I'm a part of it, of course.
So let me ask a question, Dana. Do you feel that language, and let me actually ask all of you, do you feel language is important, or at least speaking fluent English is important in B2B sales? Some say yes, yes. I see one or two no's. You'll be quite surprised. How many of you would like to know the answer to that? Okay, well, you're going to have to stick to the end of this class to find out. You may be surprised by the answer. So let's continue. Dana, why don't we go ahead and talk about, before we get started, let's just make sure that everyone understands some of the important instructions. Again, like all the classes we've ever conducted, there's some ground rules. And we do this for your benefit so that you have a great experience. You're here to learn. Many of you have invested time, resources, money to be here. And we want to make sure that you get the skills and the knowledge, the tactics, the strategies, the philosophy to be able to apply this in the real world and actually get actual results. Would you like that? Say yes in the chat. Okay. So Dana, why don't we go ahead? Let's just quickly cover some of these 6 ground rules and then we'll move on.
Yes. Well, of course, no distractions. Make sure everything is turned off. No one can distract you. Also, comment often within Discord, engage with the fellow members, and don't be shy. Everyone here has graduated before, so don't be shy. Just engage with your fellow members, be resourceful, show up each week, because this is something that you absolutely do not want to miss. And of course, replay will also be available within 48 hours after class.
Thank you very much, Dana. 48 hours. So even if you were to email support, it's not going to make it go any faster. Please be patient. Many times our support team is able to get you the replay within or even faster than the 48 hours, but do give them up to 48 hours. And I can guarantee you this is my promise. We will be putting some bonuses that are going to be very practical for you. Would you like that? Say yes in the chat. Okay, good. So before I begin, this is something I learned from Dan as well. And that is to explain or give you the story behind this. Why ultra high ticket closer? Is ultra high ticket closer an ascension? We hear so many times from so many of the students that have been very successful at HTC. Why ultra high ticket closer? Who can guess? Who can type in the chat? Why is ultra high ticket closer? Why was it put together? I see big money, demand, because we asked for it, B2B is needed. Why is B2B needed? B2B training needed, expanding the brand. Next level equals more devils, business acumen, and evolution of the community and structure of sales. Okay, well done, Jake. World is changing. Yes, we are in some very unprecedented times and the world is changing. Economy is changing. Good. We are the rainmakers and business is hungry for us. Good. So let me start off by telling you first the story of how HTC began. Who knows actually? Who knows how HTC originally originated? Which stands for high ticket closer. Where did that come from? Let's see. Dana, maybe you can take a look at some of the comments as well too.
Yes.
Some members are saying, I want to know, season 1.
Needed closers. So
Dan
I wanted
needed
to trade them.
closers. Dan wanted to help influencers to have some closers. Okay. So going back to several years ago, October of 2017, what happened was Dan had a group of mentees, and they all had different skill sets. They had agencies, or they had their own businesses, and Dan was helping them to build their own entrepreneurship and their own businesses. But things were not going as fast as he wanted. He enjoyed the teaching, and the mentees and the students were enjoying his teaching, but they weren't growing as fast as he needed them to grow. Now, as you know, Dan Lok has a very large organization, and he also has a very large presence. He moves very fast. He's very strategic, and he pulled several of the most loyal members, and he says, why don't we work together? As you know, this is the age of collaborations, of strategic alliances. So we pull together and we leverage Dan's brand. No one could deliver a message. No one could create a strategy as good as Dan. But he also needed, and there's a lesson to be learned here, he needed a team to come together. And the dream was at that time to work with 100 influencers to help them scale their businesses, to help them with their high ticket offers. And naturally, we needed closers to close. Simultaneously, we needed some closers ourselves for our own high ticket offers. The problem was, it was myself and maybe 1 or 2 other mentees that had learned this art of high ticket closing, not sales, but high ticket closing. Very consultative, the doctor, and Sifu had imparted that knowledge to only a few of us. So we said, why don't we put out an email, a simple email, and we'll invite, maybe put something on social media, and we'll invite people to sign up. And what was meant to be a class of only 50, very rapidly, to my memory, my recollection, it was probably about 24 to 48 hours. That 50 appointments had already come in. People were literally almost virtually throwing their credit cards and signing up for the high ticket closer program. So that 500 then proliferated, and it became 300. And that 300 became 1,000. And that 1,000 became 3,000. And that 3,000 became 7,000. And that 7,000 now is continuously growing. In fact, if we could even keep track, it's probably closer to 8,000, 8,500. Over the years, people have come, have gone, bad apples, people have splintered off, people with egos, people with opinions. That's all irrelevant because they've all come through the same system. They all forgot where they learned it from, and we've grown this global organization. Well over 195 countries represented all around the world. And to date, it's getting very complicated and very hard to track the number of sales that all the closers have contributed to the global economy. So just as a rough estimate, it's somewhere around the range of $34.5 billion in revenue. Now do me a favor, reach up, actually do this, take your right hand, lift it up, and reach over your left shoulder and pat yourself on the back. You are part of that community, the high ticket closer community. In some way, shape, or form, if you are here tonight, you have contributed to that growth, even if it's just been a very small transaction. So we have done that as a community. You can see the lives that have been touched, the people that have won awards. It is not a matter of, is this possible? It's just a matter of when are you going to do it? It's already been done. People have crossed stages. We've already had more than one CIB event with thousands of your brothers and sisters, fellow closers from around the world who have embraced this high income skill to become high ticket closers. And in fact, during that time, the high ticket closer program was very successful at accomplishing several things. Who can guess what those things are? Type in the chat. over 300 awards last CIB, trained closers, billions of dollars in sales, mindset, closing deals, the 100 influencers,
Impacting
validation.
people.
Okay. Transformation,
Transformation.
15 plus new businesses, disrupted the world of sales. So let me share with you, and I'll get Dana to read out this testimony in just a second. So HTC has transformed people's lives, people who had no sales background, into closers and gave them the financial confidence through a high income skill. Now, Dana, would you be so kind? Help me read this testimonial.
Yes, from Saffron Pin. Hey HTC IC fam, it has been a hectic June for me. Now that I have more time to recognize my schedule, I have at least 1 hour each day to roleplay and sharpen my HTC sword. I'm season 8 graduate with no sales experience prior to HTC. I had worked with two influencers since graduation and have closed almost 10K in sale. I have noticed that I bleed too much on the street and it hurts. I commit to hone my skill and getting better at finger jabbing. Now, who's ready to role play with me? Please book a time below and let's grow together.
Boom. Well done, Safwan. In fact, I have seen her grow as well. She has participated even now with the B2C team and also with other Discord chats, other closers. How many of you have actually role played with her? Okay. Good, good. So you can see someone who had no closing skills now closing a $10,000 sale. Do you think her confidence, not only in how she sees sales, her interaction and relationship with money, do you see how that has changed? Do you see how important that is? Okay. Next. As great as HTC was, though, many of our high ticket closers, top achievers, people who were probably already entrepreneurs, they wanted more. They wanted to get to that next level. They wanted to transform, and we did it. We helped people who were in sales or even entrepreneurs who were low ticket sales professionals to become high ticket closers. In fact, I was recently talking with Dev. So let me just read out his testimonial. Boom. October 2017, I joined HTC. I had no idea that it will change my life so much. That was the period where I was looking to quit my job and launch my own coaching and mentoring business. I see 95% of coaches and trainers struggling in India to make about 5,000 to 20,000 a year. Had it not got HTC, Sifu Dan in my life, I would have been still firefighting in my business. Closing from the stage is what I did using HTC skills. Thanks to Sifu, I was able to skyrocket my business with 20 months of quitting the job and made over 200,000. 200,000. Not 20,000, 200,000. Yesterday, I did a workshop and predicted my results before the workshop. Guess what I got? Exactly the same number of people, all thanks to HTC skills. 10 signups, each paying $650 for a 3-day workshop. I have got over 60 people so far and aiming at 100. I will upsell 5,000 to at least 30 people in the 3-day event. As Sifu said, I'm aiming for 7 figures before next CIB. Big thank you to Sifu, Desmond, and lots of love, HTC brothers, sisters. Now, do I have your permission? Can I share with you a little bit more information about Dev? I was recently speaking with Dev, and Dev just recently closed 60 people. Just recently. Despite any economic situations in the world, practicing at a very high level of high ticket closing. 60 people at $5,000. You can do the math. And he's well on his way. He's now doing strategic alliances. He's got 3 partners. He has 3 different products. He's gone from just depending on organic traffic to now paid traffic. and using other marketing funnels. So he has applied not just the closing skills, but now he is impacting the lives. In fact, he even told me that his goals, before was 10,000 lives. Now his long-term vision is impacting 1 billion people around the planet. And I believe he will do it because he is coachable, he is humble, he learns, he implements. So there's something to be learned from that. Well done, Dev. Next, as great as HTC was, many high-ticket closers, top achievers, they wanted more. They wanted to get to that next level. Well, guess what? We also had business owners. And we turned those business owners into high-ticket closers for their own business, charging what they are worth. Dana, would you be so kind and help me read this testimonial?
This is from Shannon Tran. Feeling grateful. I love my high income skills. My first high income skill was becoming a clinical psychologist. Then I wanted to create my own FU money and created a coaching business. When I started my coaching business, I didn't know anything about sales, and soon I learned it's the lifeblood for the business. That pain brought me to HTC, where I learned my second high income skill, closing. And boy, do I love it. I get so much pleasure when I close for myself or my influencer. I am committed to her success too because I understand the cost of a lead. What I love about both skills is that I can just close for someone else when I need a break from serving and still make a powerful impact helping others. Thank you, Dan Locke. My life with my family is better now that you are in it.
How many of you know of someone who is a business owner within the community or even around you who is undercharging, who doesn't have a relationship with money? Not the way that you do. You guys are good, but you can see now, you can see that the way they are viewing money, they could probably be charging 5,000, 10,000, but instead they're charging only 1,000 for their services. They're putting up with clients from hell, nightmare clients, because they need the money. Instead of seeing the value that they bring, if they help a client to generate or solve a problem that's worth 50,000, why not charge 5,000? Why charge only 1,000? So that's what High Ticket Closer was successful at doing. In fact, you can see here, this is one of our recent photos. We couldn't squeeze everyone in the photo. We'd almost have to, create a double-decker layer or something. Next year, we'll have to get ladders for everyone so that everyone can fit into the photos. There's so many individuals, and not to mention those who could not make it for this event. So how many times have you felt, let me ask you this, how many times have you felt that you were selling to the wrong audience? See, maybe it's not so much about your skills because many of you already have developed or are developing your high income skills as a high ticket closer. So it's not your fault. Maybe you were just selling to the wrong audience. Do you think that might be part of the problem? Yes? Okay. So let me share with you some of these other situations that we've seen. Jason, for example, just fired a client, felt fantastic. I do estimates for kitchens, remodeling, and before I visit a customer, I like to ask a few qualifying questions to see if it's a good fit. Now read along with me, okay? Read along, especially when you see the red lines. Question 1, tell me about your project and what do you want to accomplish? Customer replies, are you coming to my house? Sigh. Question number 2, what is your budget for this project? Customer, why are you asking me so many questions? Jeez. Question number 3, will your husband be present for our appointment? I know what you're trying to do. I've been in real estate for over 20 years. Conclusion, Miss Customer, I don't think we're going to be a good fit. I'm taking myself out of consideration of your kitchen job. But thank you for reaching out to us and considering us. Regards. Customer, what? I'm telling Home Depot, this is BS, that you won't even come out to my house. LOL. So how many of you have had to deal with a customer like this? But you did it anyways because you needed the money, right? Can you imagine doing that? I'd want to go home every day and oh my gosh, it just beat my head against the wall or something. So let's take a look at Ivy. Yes, officially fired a client of hell today. Indeed, I'm feeling so powerful and abundant now. Thank you so much to Sifu's teachings. So now let me ask you another question. And you guys can type in the chat. How much money is it costing you not knowing how to close B2B transactions? Thousands, billions, millions, 900,000 a year, a lot. Well, let's take a look. Now, I'm not going to read everything here. I'm just going to skip down to some of the lines here, but you can see that these are some of the posts that we have seen, Dan has seen, and it's all over in our communities. You know, I want to close for security vendors, B2B. I want to understand how I can close B2B IT solutions without traveling to client site. Your input and thoughts are highly appreciated. By the way, if you have any questions about cybersecurity, drop me a line too. So someone who's doing more retail sales, they want to get into the B2B world, something's holding them back. Maybe there's some myths, maybe there's some misconceptions of what B2B is. Is it lack of business acumen? Is it lack of skills? Maybe you're just intimidated by some of the bigger numbers. Where can you learn? Do you need a university degree? Do you need to have years of experience? Do you need to be in the corporate world? Do you need to first do B2C and then do B2B? What's the answer? So how many B2C sales do you need to make in order to get to a seven-figure income? See, not all sales is equal. I want you to think of this, right? There's the vendor, the street vendor who's on the street. How many times have we seen a street vendor? And it depends on where you are in the world. Some countries, you know, the street vendors are very popular. You see them peddling, you know, some of the imitation bags, or maybe they're, you know, hawker stall that's selling food. Maybe they're trying to sell some flowers. Those are B2C sales. You also have those that are working perhaps in retail. They're wearing a collared shirt, they're in a mall, they're selling cell phones, they're selling electronic devices, they're selling clothing. They might even work for one of the branded, you know, stores, retail stores, clothing stores, fashion designers. That is also B2C sales. Maybe it's a car salesman. And even the car salesman is selling B2C sales. So type in the chat, what are other examples of B2C sales? What have you experienced? For those of you especially that have had sales experience, type in the chat, what? Selling TVs, alarms, BizOp, insurance, real estate? Yes, even real estate is B2C. Now, real estate can be B2B when it's in commercial. Mobile, insurance, restaurants. Go ahead, Dana.
Coaching programs as well, a few times.
Bicycles, funding. Nothing wrong with those. I think you can certainly make a very nice, comfortable six-figure income. And in fact, many of you still need to practice in that area. And many of you still need to sharpen your skills in that area. But what we want to do is, for those who are ready, show you and give you a pathway to, if you want, stack on top of those skills. It's not an ascension, but to give you an additional high income skill. Would you like that? Would you want us to do that for you? In B2B, there is more leverage, there's more opportunities to get to a seven-figure income. Not saying that B2C cannot get you to seven-figure, but in B2B, if you can stack it on, it increases your odds of getting to that seven-figure income. Now, why is seven-figure so important? Because in this day and age, seven figures, if you're not making seven figures, you're below middle class. It's as simple as that. The middle class is dying. So let's compare. On the right side, let's take a look at some of the numbers here. You can see these are screenshots, $50. How many of you would love to get a notification that says, hey, you've got $50 just been deposited for you. Nothing wrong with that, right? If I saw $50, I'd be happy. I'd pick it up. If I'm getting that on a daily basis, $50 every single day, it's good money. But is it great money? What if you were getting $300? These are small transactions and they do add up. Many times these transactions come from B2C sales. So how many of these transactions? It's more mass rather than that sniper approach, that one shot, one kill. And if you look on the left, Dana, maybe you could be so kind to help me read out Danny Lin's testimonial here.
Yes. Danny Lin, what is success? Success occurs when your dream is become bigger than your excuse. Sifu, I couldn't agree more. Thank you for that. It's me, Danny Lin. I'm here to share my fourth boom and the fifth boom. I closed EB5 500K deal by negotiating commission from 5% to 6%. Signed 5 deals, earned 150K. That doesn't get me too excited because I know I will get there. But the surprise thing happened. My prospect invited me to join them to open EB5 agent in China to help rich people to come to American dream. Boom! When my prospect told me, said, Danny, you are so good at that. I said, oh my God, I'm so good at that. That gave me a lot of credit. Now, how many zeros is happening in the future? I can imagine what happens. I can't imagine what happens, and I cannot count how many zeros in future long term. What happened to this countryside girl? The countryside girl come to America with no words of English, no education background. Now, how could I be so good at it?
Well done, Danny. So at the start of today's class, we talked about Dana as well too, not having the perfect native English accent. Is it really important to close B2B sales? Is it a mindset? Is it the type of clients you're looking for? Is it maybe you need the skills of how to negotiate deals or where to find the deals? So who knows what EB5 deals are? Type in the chat. EB5s is a type of visa to get your green card in the United States. If you invest in a certain amount of real estate in the United States, they give you they give you your green cards. So there are investors that are trying to get into the United States. They're trying to apply for permanent residence and they want to be an American citizen eventually. But they have money, very wealthy individuals. So what Danny Lin did was she helped to broker those deals. She helped to coordinate that, where she worked as a company and she brought in these customers that were investing in real estate deals, each real estate deal about 500,000 investment, and she took a 5 to 6% commission. Now, you compare that to the $300 or the $50, and again, nothing wrong with the $50 or $300. We're very proud of our closers that are getting that. Maybe they needed that as a first level of confidence, but we wanted to show you what else is possible. And you can see how the leverage, the size of the numbers, the digits makes a lot of difference, the type of deals. Is it easier to do what Danny Lin is doing? Yes and no. Sometimes it's more complex. Sales cycles might be longer. There's more complexities, there's more legalities, there's different things you need to do, right? So let's get started. Let's cover that in today's class. We want to get you warmed up. And over the next 6 weeks, we're going to show you some of the very precise ways that we do it. It may not encompass everything. There will always be more to learn. And I can guarantee you that Dan will be wanting to, improve and increase and give you more in the B2B space. But we wanted to give you a baseline first. Is that okay with you? Can we just give you a baseline first so that some of you can go out there and immediately put into practice? Okay. So as we've said before, you can hustle your way to 6 figures, but you cannot hustle your way to 7 figures without B2B. One of the things that you want to know about is in ultra high ticket closing. This is when Dan Lok had this fantastic idea. He had this epiphany. He was standing there. Picture this. We were talking about the different types of sales that are happening. We were talking about some of the struggles that the community is having. We were talking about what we're hearing from some of the closers, external and internal, speaking with us about the experiences they're having. And we kept hearing a similar message. And imagine this. Dan goes, snaps his finger, goes, ultra high ticket closing. Not just B2B sales, but ultra high ticket closing. So that's when we started to introduce. So it's not an ascension, it's another skill. It's another high income skill. Perhaps your day work that you're doing B2C. And in the meantime, you're developing your B2B skills. And you don't have to jump into it full time. Some of you are intimidated. Maybe you think you have to do enterprise sales. You don't have to do that. You can start off with SMBs, small, mid-sized businesses. And by the way, in tonight's class, we are going to be covering many different acronyms and new terms, stuff that you may not have heard, different vernacular and different vocabulary that's not normally covered in just HTC. If you're not sure, just take a note of that. We will be providing bonus materials, we'll be giving you glossary items, and I'm going to challenge each and every one of you to do your research, to start getting familiar with B2B sales terminology, ultra high ticket closing terminology. Is that a fair request to ask of you? Yes? Yes? Okay, good, let's continue. So write this down, okay? You're about to join the new world's upper class by leveraging the secrets of the most in-demand professionals. The new worlds. What's going on all around the world right now? There's something going on that has never, ever happened. This is the upper class, and it's the secrets of the most in-demand professionals. Companies all around the world, after they have adapted, recovered, they are going to need to re-stimulate sales. Sure, retail, sure, B2C. There will always be that demand. But it is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for all of you. If you seize this opportunity right now, you could be part of the new world's upper class, the most in-demand professionals. How many of you would like to do that? So by the end of the 6 weeks, you will have the skills, the strategies to successfully transition from B2C to B2B, should you choose to. Supercharge your B2B career. That's if you're already in B2B. We're going to give you additional skills to help you close bigger deals, shorten up that sales cycle, gain that trust from the clients so you have the repeat business, navigate the gatekeepers, allow you to have the precise, exact scripts and ways to ask the right questions that allows you to close more deals at higher ticket offers, perhaps even have some recurring revenue coming in. So how many of you would like to learn how to shortcut your financial goal? Keep in mind, shortcut doesn't mean less effort, okay? So here's what you can expect. In week 1, you can understand why B2B and what are the common mistakes that we've seen and how to avoid those mistakes. Week 2, we're going to be filling your pipeline using the tree of prospecting. There'll be other co-instructors coming on here, Joel, Rich, many others who have had lots of experience. We'll be doing actual role plays. Week 3, stealth appointments, how to set those appointments, get past those gatekeepers. Week 4, the art of closing B2B, the consultative way. This is where you're going to be in the dojo. This is where you're going to be actually raising your hand, unmuting. We're going to be bringing out different individuals, volunteers. We're going to be actually practicing. But before we do that, in the weeks before that, we're going to give you the tools that you're going to need, the scripts that you need. We're going to give you and explain to you why we do things a certain way, what's been proven to work. Week 5, we're going to maximize the lifetime value of customers. How do you build a stream of repeat business, those referrals? How to keep the ongoing clients? And then week 6 is going to be a surprise. Okay? Now, before we continue, there are 3 habits of ultra high ticket closes. Would you like to know what those are? These are critical, so make sure you write them down. These 3 habits are the baseline. When things are not working, 2 months, 3 months, and it will happen to you. There will be ups and downs when you go through this journey as a B2B closer, as an ultra high ticket closer. Not every day is going to be a perfect close. There are going to be times when the biggest deal that you've been working on does not go through. I want you to reflect, go back to these 3 habits and see whether or not you were in congruency with these 3 habits. Most cases, 9 out of 10 times, when a deal doesn't go through, it's because you are out of congruency with these 3 habits. So it's very, very important. And I'm going to take some time to spend to cover them. Number 1, ultra high ticket closers don't make excuses. It's as simple as that. But what do you mean, Desmond? What do you mean we don't make excuses? We don't make excuses. Well, you know, I mean, like, well, what if we don't make excuses? But what if, no, we don't make excuses. No, but it wasn't my fault. No, we don't make excuses. No, but the marketing, no, we don't make excuses. It's as simple as that. When you're in the B2B world, life is not always going to be easy. There are going to be politicking going on. There's going to be people that leave the position. There are going to be people that make promises to you, and then all of a sudden they change their mind. It's not a fair world. It doesn't matter. We take extreme ownership. We don't make excuses. Marketing sent me bad leads. It's not my fault. The customers are hard to deal with, right? Where. So we don't make excuses. Can we agree on that? We don't make excuses. Our prices are too high. Marketing doesn't do a good job. The SDR didn't qualify well. Who knows? Type in the chat. What does SDR stand for? Those of you in the B2C or the B2B team, don't type in the chat. Sales Development Rep. That's correct. Now, if you don't know this word, don't be embarrassed. Let us know as well too. Have you ever encountered this term, SDR? If you didn't, then pay attention and just let us know. We will help you. It is good, SDRs. This is a very common industry standard term, and you might see other variations of it, BDR, SDR. BDR stands for Business Development Rep, SDR stands for Sales Development Rep. Sometimes there's other terms like appointment setters, but appointment setters have a connotation of being a little bit more of a lower level. SDRs are more sophisticated. SDRs communicate with C-suite executives, director levels, manager levels. You know, appointment setters, they're just kind of like a dime a dozen. They're just kind of nonstop ringing on the phones. SDRs are more professional. They ask very strategic questions. They have to get through the gatekeepers. So they're very, very important. In fact, if anything at all, if you speak to most VP of sales, chief revenue officers, and you ask them, who are some of the key members on your team? They will always say the SDRs. Because the SDRs will have to lead the charge. They are the ones that actually set the appointments. That's how they create a predictable revenue. They're the ones when recession is up or down, you're not depending on inbound leads. They're the ones that keep the consistent flow of appointments coming in for the AEs, the account executives. Now, who knows what the term AE stands for, account executive? What does that mean? AE, yep. AE closes a sale. That's correct. Account executive. So account executive, I want you to think of it. If you're already a closer, as a closer, you just refer to yourself as a sales professional, as a closer. Well, in the professional world, the B2B world, a closer is actually known as an AE. Now, there are some other variations to this, but in general, if you were to speak to most corporations, SMBs stand for small, mid-sized businesses, small businesses, right? Small to medium-sized businesses. SMEs, SMBs. Many of them, or even the bigger enterprise companies, if you mention to them an AE, they understand. An AE is a rainmaker. AE partnered up with an SDR. Those two are a tag team. Very critical and crucial for business success and revenue. Okay, so they are very in demand, SDRs and AEs. Moving on. Number 2, write this down. Ultra high ticket closers build credibility. Now, don't go Google this right now. What does credibility mean to you? Don't Google it, just type in the chat. What does credibility mean? Trust. Dana, maybe help me out. I'm seeing trust, trustworthy.
A lot of trust, honesty, reputation, ownership, validation, transparency, respect, integrity, consistency.
Knowledge, good. Proven result. So take a look at this. Take a screenshot of this. This is another way to measure B2B sales. Very different from B2C. B2C is very transactional. You're dealing many times in mass quantities. B2B, a lot of times, this is unseen, it's invisible, but it exists. And you want to have on the two axes, on the left axis, the one that goes vertical is integrity. On the horizontal axis, capability. Capability to solve problems, capability to deliver. So on the vertical axis, there's trustworthy, which we saw many of you write, reliability, being consistent. That, and there's many, many more adjectives to describe what constitutes the integrity side. But then there's also the capability. Can your company, can the product or service you're representing, can your business bring the capabilities, which translates into the minds of the business owner or the C-suite executives? Are you going to be that extra pair of hands? Are you the expert consultant? Can you take some bandwidth away from them? Perhaps they don't have the bandwidth to deal with those issues and you're the specialist, you're the expert. Now, in combining these two together, the vertical and the horizontal axes, you get into a zone which is called the credibility value zone. So once again, going back to, let's just future pace a bit. Let's go into the future. It's been a week, it's been a month, it's been a couple of months, and a sale did not go through. Look back at this image, because this is one of the habits about credibility. Did you build that credibility? Did you position, was your company positioned as that trusted advisor to become that collaborative relationship? Was your vernacular in the way you communicated to your client, did they feel through your questions that you were there and you actually cared about their business as if you were a stakeholder in their company, that extra pair of hands, that you are reliable? Everything, how you do anything is how you do everything. Could you be seen as that? And if not, if at any point it faltered, in the B2B world, sometimes you're dealing with more than one decision maker, stakeholder. If you're not communicating this through your actions, your professionalism, your business acumen, if you're not communicating that to all the stakeholders, that may be that one card that brings down your whole house of cards, and that's why the deal did not go through. So it's a higher stakes game. Let's just face it, folks, it's a higher stakes game. Or you can go back to selling TVs and selling cars and selling, jewelry, whatever it is in the B2C world. Again, nothing wrong with that. Many of our high ticket closers have done very well in real estate. They've done very well in some of the higher ticket of the high ticket products, and they make a great six-figure income. But the B2B world, that's a whole different ballgame. Okay, are you getting value from this? Is this starting to make sense? Yes? Okay, take a screenshot of this. This is important. Print this out. Put it on your wall. As you are on the phone speaking with a CEO or CFO, another business owner, maybe you are a business owner that sells to smaller business owners as well. Ask yourself, where do you fit at any given time on a call, during the emails, the communications? Ask yourself where you stand. Ultra high ticket closers. Number 3, ultra high ticket closers are the trusted advisors, which you can see how we're stacking on top of 2. We are the trusted advisors. So many of you have heard of Dan talk about Sun Tzu, which is the art of war. This is very critical. It's very different from B2C sales in that B2B sales, we are that advisor. So as you can see here, there's a little bit of backstory for those of you who are not familiar with the Sun Tzu story, right? It is in 506 BC. A Chinese emperor by the name of King Helu launched multiple successful attacks, which led to the victories and securities for his state. Now, his success was largely attributed to his trusted strategic advisor, Sun Tzu, who helped the emperor build the dynasty. It wasn't just the emperor himself, the emperor relied on that trusted advisor. So Sun Tzu's most famous work, The Art of War, which is used in companies all around the world. Management will usually have junior managers or middle managers read the book, and you would be very wise to also pick up the book if you've never read it. There are many English versions these days. Read the book, understand it, and apply the philosophies behind it. It is still relevant in this day and age in the way we conduct business. Be the trusted advisor for your clients. So let's take a moment. Let's put it here on these 3 columns. So we have LTC, which stands for low ticket closing. Then we have HTC, which is high ticket closing. And then we have UHTC, ultra high ticket closing. So we're going to take a look at the first column on the left, LTC. Highly vulnerable to economic swings. Just take a look around right now. Low ticket sales, retail, almost everything has been shut down. Literally overnight. We know companies, 200 employees, literally overnight, 80% gone, maybe even more. That's just within a week. Nobody ever predicted it. We've many, people who are skeptical or even quite pragmatic are predicting an economic downturn, a recession. No one ever predicted what's been happening. How fast that can wipe out retail sales overnight. Not all retail sales. There's some retail that's still doing well. Supermarkets, essential services, drugstores, still doing quite well. Food services, some of them having to adapt. So when you're in LTC, low ticket closer, repeat after me, LTC is low ticket closer. The lower level of customers, a very draining environment. How many of you, you can think of it, if you've had experience dealing with low ticket closing, it's very repetitive and sometimes you have to deal with I almost hate to sound so negative, but you deal with really dumb customers. Dumb questions, the lower the ticket, many times they feel so entitled and they're coming to you and they you know what I'm talking about? Like I've been at events sometimes, and sometimes the cheaper events, the ones that I've been to, the customers that, the cheapskate ones that they're trying to get the free ticket. They're the ones that complain about, oh, the coffee is too cold, the coffee is too hot, oh, the room is too bright, the room is not bright enough. You know what I mean? They're the ones that complain the most. So when you deal with a lot of low ticket customers, it's a lot of transactions. You're dealing with a lot of masses, but you're also dealing with a lot of lower level individuals. I'll tell you a true story. Even I came from the restaurant business, and you can ask my wife this as well too. When we got married and her mom was in the food business, in the restaurant business, and I had already previous experience in it. In my younger days, in my 20s, I enjoyed the tips. I enjoyed, the kind of working in the restaurants or the clubs, and I enjoyed that kind of lifestyle. It's dealing with some of the wealthy individuals coming in, the VIP booth. But then I soon realized, my shoes were caked up with oil and grease every day. My feet were tired. Just to get a cup, $100 in tips, per night. And you stink all the time. Your fingers and hands stink of all the food from the dishwashers and all that stuff. You stink of food. In fact, you actually lose your appetite for really nice food because you work in restaurants. You see how dirty it is many times in the kitchen, and you see all the stuff, how people might drop stuff on the floor and pick it up, and just all kinds of stuff. Maybe sometimes you might even see a cockroach or a rat or something. Trust me, you guys will be mortified. You may not even eat at some of the restaurants you eat. And in fact, you can't even go to any restaurants right now. When those restaurants do open up again, I don't know, maybe some of you might be that desperate to go eat at restaurants, but trust me, I come from that background. It's tireless work, and you're dealing with a lot of low educated people. who work in that industry. And so, that's an example of low ticket closing. Okay. Now let's continue. Low ticket transactions. Yeah, it's the grinder. We call it the grinder. When I was working in Sony as well too, I had to, how many headphones did I have to sell in a day? Making 50 cents of commission per headphone I sold, or $1 of headphones I sell. And I thought I was a big shot because I'd sell it a Sony A7 camera, $1,500, and I'd get a $50 commission for it, right? Or I'd sell a TV, the XBR 950 Sony Bravia, right? And even that too, maybe make another $80 commission on it. I used to make a lot of commissions selling the insurance, the Sony Care. So, and then the Sony Care did work for certain clients. I helped them to leverage it in many good ways, legally, of course. I didn't have any do anything illegal, but that was some of my experience in the retail sales. So minimum wage, little or no commissions, right? Very little career growth. There were guys that were working in the retail stores that been there for, geez, I think it was 10 years, that store. And there were guys that would come in. This old retired guy came in once. I think his name was Sam or something. And he comes in and he sees Brian, who's one of the managers that's working in the store. He's like, "Hey, Brian, how's it going?" And this guy's like 70 years old, right? Sam. And he comes in, and I'm young at the time. I'm 36 years old, young, at the time, and I'm working in the Sony store. And I see the Sam guy come in, and he goes, "Yeah, I worked at the Broadway store, and I worked at this store, and I worked at that store." He was a lifer. He was a lifer, B2C sales professional. And he retired, and now he's got his grandkids. He goes out, he takes his pension. But, that's the life of a, no career growth at the time. And then eventually Sony closed all its stores and shut it all down. And they, just overnight like that. We had the best Christmas, best sales ever, highest sales ever. And then corporate came in and we were acquired by Sony North America. And Sony North America said, no, the retail stores just aren't cutting it. Everything's switching to online. Maybe a smart move, in retrospect now. Maybe Sony sells more online right now than having those stores. They would be hurting more than some of the stores that have the retail front and all that high overhead. So very transactional, right? The lifetime value, LTV means lifetime value, the cost of the product. That's it. There is no lifetime value of, for most B2C sales. Okay. HTC, we'll cover this one faster because many of you already know it. Depends on the industry you're in. It's a mix of good and bad prospects. You're the consultant, right? Many times it's one-to-one. Average deal size could be anywhere from 2,000, maybe even 50,000. How many of you, type in the chat, how many of you have had experience already closing, let's see, product services over 10,000? Type in the chat. Okay, Adam, yep, Lords, Greg, Razmik, Evelyn, Chris, Peter, Mustafa, Desmond, good name by the way, Desmond, Andy, Pedro, Natasha,
Aaron, Peter, Stanley. Oh,
good,
no.
Good. Okay.
Adonis,
So
yes.
now we're going to put a pause there for a second. How many of you have actually closed products or services and be honest here, over the last 12 months, one-time close over 25,000? Type in the chat. And if you are, just type 25. Type 25 so I know it's you. Okay, we got Greg, Timur, Christopher, Dana, help me out here. Shang.
Svana.
Ooh, Michael Mason, 33,000. Natasha,
Adam.
41,000. Adam, okay.
Tina.
Good.
Hardy. Greg.
Good. How many of you, keep going, the ones that are over 25, how many of you received a base and commission, or was it only 100% commission? If it's 100% commission, type 100%. If it's base plus commission, type the base and the commission. 100% commission. Ooh. Lord says base plus commission. Okay. So if it's a base plus commission, type in the base plus commission. What was the base? What was the the ratio? What is base? Umeng asks. Base means like a salary, or they give you a very basic, like whether it be minimum wage, they might just pay you something, $1,000, $100. They might pay you $10 an hour, right? So no base, 8% commissions. So 40,000. Okay, so so she was doing 40,000 a year and $1,000 commission. So it sounds like you were doing more B2B, or is that still HTC B2C? So from 25K, 20%. Yeah, see, confirms. Well, Lord says B2C, Jenny says B2B. Good, good. Okay, Timor was 20% commission. Yep, 180,000. Good. Okay. So many times, the most that you can do, in your career growth in HTC, you might become a team leader. You might be leading a team. For example, even real estate agents. That's high ticket closing. We've got a good friend of ours and a fellow mentee of Dan Locke's. He sells luxury real estate. His name's Gary. Many of you might know. And Gary started off just, one-to-one, with his customers. But eventually he became the top sales in his brokerage, and his brokerage asked him to form a team. So now he operates with a team. So he's the team leader, right? So if you look at the relationship, the lifetime, relationships are measured in months. Lifetime value, 4 to 5 figures. You might get some referrals. You might get some repeat business. That's in the high ticket closer. It's not bad. It's actually quite good. Many of you make a very good living doing that. So then we introduce ultra high ticket closing. And when you look at the third column on the right side, now, again, it depends on industry. Most have better access to funds, okay? And yes, you will see, good. I see Patrick already typing in there. You're going ahead of me there. So you'll see things like OTE. These are terms that you want to know in the B2B world. So mostly professionals with good business acumen. You're seen as the trusted advisor, okay? It might be one-to-many. You're not just closing one-to-one. It's now maybe one-to-many. You might have the average number of stakeholders in most B2B transactions. Who knows the answer to that? What is the average number of stakeholders, people that you have to close in order to close a B2B sale? Oh, I see some of the B2B team is already chiming in. B2B team, you guys need to hold off on some of your answers. Give everyone else a chance. Okay, good. 5. In most cases, when you're dealing with SMBs, now who can type in the chat? Give me some examples. Why is it 5? Who are the decision makers? Give me some examples. Why is it 5? Not limited to 5, but in general. So CEO, CFO, CMO, COO, a lot of C's, No KFCs, I know. Sifu likes, Dan Locke likes KFCs, but this is the C-suites executives. Okay. VPs, yeah. Sometimes even the chairman of the board. There might be a manager level. There might be, someone from finance, someone from operations. It might be the owner of the company. It might be partners of the company. Sometimes you deal with, when you're dealing with smaller businesses, you might just deal with it might be a family business. So it's, 2 brothers or father and son. In fact, I was talking with a business owner just recently in India, crane business, dealing with cranes. Okay, they build these ETO cranes, and family business, not bad, $500,000 business, right? But uncle, father, brother, and him running the business. So decision makers, I have to deal with all 4 of them in order to get the deal closed, right? Let's talk about the next step here. Many times in B2B, they will offer you a solid base and a larger variable. So the variable is actually the commission, right? In layman's terms, layperson's terms, OTE means, we saw it before, type it again in the chat. What does OTE stand for? On target earnings. That's correct. In the B2B world, they don't call it commissions, they call it on target earnings. Why? Because in the B2B world, you are normally held accountable to KPIs, OKRs, right? Who knows what OKRs stand for? Type in the chat as well too. OKRs. So hopefully those of you not knowing all these acronyms, don't panic, don't worry, write them down, but we will give you some of these glossary terms later. Here's my challenge to you. If you don't know, look them up. Objective key results. That's right, OKRs. Okay. And relationships measured in years. You know, the lifetime value of a B2B transaction could sometimes be 6, 7 figures that you could actually have in one transaction. Just like you saw in Danny Lynn's deals, the relationship, the time it took her to nurture those, to close that deal, it didn't happen in one call close. It didn't happen, you know, just probably in 1 or 2 days. So though they do happen sometimes, in general, most B2B transactions tend to be a little bit longer. They tend to be 1 week, 3 weeks, 1 month, sometimes even 6 months or even a year. I've seen deals take that much time to close. So that's the B2B world. Okay, who wants to know more? Wow, Dana, we've already gone through class here. We're just moving along. I don't know, maybe we can just stop the class here. Everyone already understands B2B. Let's go out there and close.
I don't know. Do they want that? No. I see a lot of no's, Desmond.
Okay, we'll keep going. So I'm drinking water. I'm not drinking honey green tea. So from time to time, you know, you give me permission to please, you know, wet the whistle a bit with some water here, and we'll keep the class going. Okay, here we go. We're just getting started. Trust me. There's going to be some good stuff, some practical, actual stuff you can actually use, and in the homework assignments we're going to be giving you, it's actually going to be where you can use it, and we are looking to see who can actually get some results from the assignments that we're going to give you. Okay, let's continue. So one of the common questions that we see all the time is, what are the best B2B industries in 2020? What are some of the ones, and this is changing very rapidly. So just because we put it here does not mean it's set in stone. From our knowledge, from what we've seen, the trends, speaking with, you know, the biggest disruptors. As you know, Dan is part of YPO, right, which is Young Presidents Organization. Now, how many of you do not know what YPO is? Don't be shy. Don't feel embarrassed. Just say, I don't know YPO. Just type, I don't know YPO. Okay. Thank you, Ivan, for being honest. Thank you, Todd. Thank you, Harry. Thank you. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, Jose. So this, for those who say I don't know, I'm going to give you an additional assignment. Write this down. YPO stands for Young Presidents Organization. So it's not just Young Presidents Organization, and the name sounds quite self-explanatory. Do some research, deeper research as to the history. Who are the members of YPO? Why is YPO so illustrious? Why is YPO so prestigious? Who are the disruptors in YPO? And you'll start to understand why it's such a coveted private members club to be part of, especially if you are an entrepreneur, a visionary that's building global disruption, being an industry leader there in YPO. Many of the industry leaders are YPO members. It's a fraternity. So we have access to the knowledge. Many times what happens in YPO is very secretive. It doesn't get leaked out. But, you know, Dan, our mentor, our founder, our chairman, shares many times some of the knowledge. He may not do it directly, but you can see indirectly by some of the strategies and the decisions he makes. It's because it's affected by some of the insider information, the knowledge that he has at that high level of what industries are going to be thriving, which ones are going to be hurting, where there are opportunities to look into. So we've listed some of them here for you, but not limited to, okay? Medical and pharmaceutical. I think I need not explain this. Right now, medical and pharmaceutical, it is blowing up. I already seen so many closers. People that, my gosh, I think even my grandmother's trying to sell face masks right now and PPE. But let's be serious here for a second. Even put any kind of pandemic or anything aside, medical and pharmaceutical can actually be one of the most lucrative B2B sales areas ever. It is still growing. It continues to grow. The predictions are it's a very stable industry to consider. And medical, This is in the equipment, the supplies, there's other areas as well too, but just in the pharmaceutical area, it's going to continue, even whether you choose to be more on the holistic side, the regenerative medicines, the alternative, it is still a very, very big area. So once you put your mind to an industry and you choose that this is maybe going to be an industry you want to double down on, start to do your own research. This is going to be part of your assignments. I'm going to challenge you to do that. Whether I put it on a slide or not, the smart ones would do that. When I'm looking at a slide like this, I'm not just seeing slides. I'm not just letting Desmond's voice go in one ear and out the other ear. I'm thinking deeper. Desmond can't put hundreds of pages of information on. He's only got one slide. So extrapolate through the lines here. What is medical and pharmaceutical? I'm going to challenge you to post even in the community, in the Facebook communities after. What research you have found out? What are the jobs being offered or the positions being offered? What are normal positions? What industries are dealing with the medical and pharmaceutical, okay? Next is commercial real estate, property management. Now they're taking a big hit right now. Commercial real estate, property management, people are panicking. I've got good friends that they're multiple 7-figure businesses and the 8-figure businesses in commercial real estate. The smart ones, they're already prepared for this. In fact, they see opportunities because very, very soon, there's going to be a lot of fire sales. There's going to be a lot of, I can tell you a lot of retail property are going to be hurting. That's an area that's going to be very hurting. On the other hand, though, there's going to be other areas that there's going to be great deals to pick up on. Deals that never would have been available in anyone's lifetime. If you don't know how to structure a deal and you don't know how to bring in the right financing to get and then acquire and negotiate the deal and structure the contract to then acquire equity in that deal. If you don't know how to do that, well, then you're going to miss out big time. Institutional financial services, tied in also with commercial real estate, investment banking, merger acquisitions, massive area, merger and acquisitions. There are going to be companies that were valued at over in 7-figure range that will be selling for pennies on the dollar. And those with the skills, and Sifu, Dan Lok has said this, many times you don't need money to make money. You just need to have the skills to structure the deal. You structure the deal, trust me, I may not have $1 million to invest. I may not have $10 million to invest. But if I can structure a deal and I can take 1% of a $10 million deal and I know how to close both sides in a B2B transaction, bingo. Exactly, Greg, bingo. So that is B2B transactions where you know how to bring in the financing from the investment bankers, you know how to structure and bring in the merger and acquisitions. It's an area that if you have the skills, now is one of the best times to be alive. So management consultant, leadership, corporate training, very good friend of Dan Lok's, Larry Yach, Navy SEAL commander. Some of you have heard of us talk about him. Good friend to our family as well. Larry Yach, SEAL Team 3, former commander, led the opening operations, one of the largest modern day opening operations into Iraq at that time. And, you know, he's since retired on due to a medical, he had, you know, injured. And so now what he's specialized in, leadership, corporate training. His business is booming more than ever. Business owners that were arrogant, cocky, now humbled. Their business overnight reduced. They're panicking in frozen mode, deer in the headlights. Corporate training, very, very important. If you are a closer, a B2B closer that's closing CEOs right now, C-suite executives on corporate training, how to bring their people together, how to shore things up, how to get businesses, how to shift the business very quickly. If you're providing that kind of consultancy, you don't have to be the consultant. You're just closing the deals that brings in the consultants, the coaches that do that. Oh, wow. You're closing 6-figure deals overnight. Businesses are making in the 7-8 figures. They're willing to pay the 100,000 right now to bring in that kind of consultant. I'm seeing it happen every day. Supply chain is another one. Okay, let's move on. Tech industry. Tech is going to be bigger than ever before. Telecommunications. What are we on right now? What technology are we using to even conduct this class? Just 4 weeks ago, a handful of us on the planet, and I'm going to say a handful on the planet. I'm the OG in this area. I think I really regret I should have invested in Zoom back when it first came out. I'm gonna, it's a cliche line. I wish I invested in Zoom. I'm not gonna make that mistake again. And the next wave that comes, I'm making sure I'm investing in something before it goes. You know, I miss Starbucks, I miss eBay, I miss Alibaba, and I missed Zoom this time too. Zoom is boom. That's right. Zoom is boom. Zoom, Slack, anything online that facilitates remote is now booming. Telecommunications, support services for remote work, IT services, AI related services. You've all heard, even at the end of 2019, AI was already, you know, the news and the economists were predicting already 500,000 jobs, maybe more now. I believe, what was it? Maybe 5 million jobs, I think, are going to be replaced with AI services. Do you think as the world moves out of this economic crisis, do you think that business owners are going to go back to doing businesses the same way? Some will, but I can tell you on the back of their mind, they're going to speed up technologies. They're going to create mitigations for risk. They're going to hedge their risks. They're going to leverage more technologies. So if you are, as you know the story, it's not about the gold miners, it's selling the pickaxes to the gold miners. It's selling the jeans, the denim to the miners. Those are the people that made it rich during the gold rush. So if you know how to close B2B transactions, think every day now. You can't afford to be lazy, right? Luxury is lazing around. That is the pastime of the poor and the people who are mediocre. You are all ultra high ticket closers. So start thinking, where are the opportunities? These are in IT services, AI related services. Overnight, industries that may not have needed, I'll even give you some, which I didn't even write here. One in particular, financial services, we talked a bit about that. What about CPAs? What about accountants? In the last 30 days, almost 3 of the big CPAs that I'm related with or spoken to, they're off the hook. The amount of needs that they have right now, and this is not going to go away in just 1 or 2 months. It's going to keep dragging on. There's more trust now. There are people actually needing the CPAs. So CPA was actually saying to me, I need to be working with the clients that already, I have no time to close them. I need someone to close. And these are small business owners. These are people that own, plumbing services, dentists, doctors, garage door closers. There's, tradesmen. So it's B2B closing. You're closing a small business owner into needing the financial or accounting services of a CPA. So, he was saying to me, Desmond, I need B2B closers. I need closers that can do that because I'm just overwhelmed right now to help these services. So CPAs, certified public accountants, yes, right? They are needing closers right now. Ultra high ticket closers, B2B. So you don't have to do some of the big giant deals. Maybe for some of you, all it takes is just to sharpen your teeth on helping a local accountant, a CPA firm, to close more clients. And that will give you an exposure to dealing with business owners, understanding their pain points, helping them to communicate that message. And then after that, you're closing them. And sometimes CPA services are not that much. So the price point might be lower, but it gives you some confidence. Would that be helpful to some of you? Not all of you are ready to jump into the deep end, so that could be something that you can start with. Healthcare software. There's technology companies, there's companies that are laboratories that are doing research on vaccines. They need software. Right now, they're in big need of software. CRM, SaaS, note-taking, security. Very big right now. Security. Have another very close acquaintance that runs a very large security company. Usually dealt with door-to-door, so it's B2C. Quickly made a pivot, switched a little bit more to B2B, started handling and bringing in inquiries through online, and that's how they were able to grow. Okay, so let's continue. Agency services. What can you potentially earn in a B2B career? Let's talk about that. Okay. Salary versus base. Commission versus variable. We talked about this. Total commissions versus on target earnings. Right? Now we're talking about the two different types. Total commissions versus on target earnings. So let me give you some examples here. These are actually taken from actual job sites. These are taken from Glassdoor. These are taken from where they actually get the actual average amounts. Now, this is if you want to be in the B2B, but as a career. You're working as a sales professional in a company, so you are not running your own business. And we'll cover business owners in just a second. Okay. You can see here a junior SDR. We've already covered what SDR stands for, sales development reps. Base on average about 40,000, variable 20,000 in commissions. OT on target earnings approximately about 60,000. That's a person coming in. First 3 months on the job, they're just learning. Now you can see as we go through the scale here, the SDRs, then a senior SDR, a junior AE, an AE, a senior AE, a CSM, senior CSM, and an AM. AM, who knows what AM stands for? Account manager. Thank you, Henry. Always ahead of me. Good. Senior CSM. Who knows what a CSM stands for? Customer success manager, client success manager. In the B2B world, we probably would use the word client instead of customer. That's the difference. In the business acumen, we tend to use different words. You use client instead of customer. Make sense? Okay. So you can even see the senior AE. I mean, not bad. It's about a 220,000 a year, annual OT. Who agrees that 220,000 is not bad, right? And you probably even have your weekends off if you want to have your weekends off. So you're not a business owner. You're not working 7 days a week. As a senior AE, you come in, you work with a team, 220,000. Now that's just an average. There's obviously a spectrum on both sides. It goes up and down. Okay. Now let's talk to the business owners. How many of you in the chat are actually business owners right now? You are actually a small business owner and you communicate with other business owners to sell your services, to provide services out there. Jason, Adonis, Daniel, Timor.
Natasha, Han, Hardy, Carl.
Okay.
James.
So for business owners, I want to give you some examples here. Let's just say hypothetically, okay? And this is actually probably based off a real case here. We've got a digital marketing agency owner. How many of you are actually a digital marketing agency owner? Type in the chat, say me. If you already are, okay. So Hardy is, Fana is, okay. So some of you might be a digital marketing agency owner and maybe you're helping a client to scale from, let's just say you've got a client that's averaging about 5 million a year right now and you want to help them double their revenues. You're putting in some paid ads, you're doing some digital, digital media buying for them. You're helping them to scale their campaigns, their marketing campaigns. And in doing so, when you structure the deal, how would you structure a deal like that? How would you, as a business owner, maybe for those of you who have some experience in this, how would you structure a deal like that? Okay, I'm just looking at the chat here. Create a variable. Okay, on a scale, Daniel says. Okay, good. So let's give an example here, okay? Let's say, for example, and this is pretty normal, you're charging $10,000 per month as a retainer for your services. You're going to build out all their funnels. You're going to create their campaigns, help them write the copy. You're going to help create it, whether it's on ClickFunnels or Infusionsoft, have the active campaign set up. You're going to do all those things. You're going to be in their Facebook ads manager, maybe their Google, and you're going to help them purchase their ads and you're going to maintain it. And you structure the deal where you're being paid $10,000 per month, plus you take a 10% rev share. So very simple math. You're already earning about $120,000 per year. plus 500,000. You see how that 10% rev share, that 500,000, where did that come from? That's 5 million on the uptake, right? So you have 5 million that they were already at. You helped them bring up another 5 million and you took 10% of that. Do you see how structuring a B2B deal like this can be such much larger numbers? The digits are much bigger. Instead of doing a $300 deal or $50 deal, structuring a deal like this can be very helpful. Now, if you're not the business owner, maybe you're just an ultra high ticket closer that's helping a business owner. Maybe you negotiate with the business owner. You take a percentage of that. Maybe you're not making the 10,000 per month retainer. Maybe the business owner is paying you 2,000 a month out of that 10,000. And maybe you take only 2% of the rev share. Can you do the math? What if you took 2% out of that 5 million? This all depends on whether you have the skills to negotiate the deals. That's right. Okay, let's give you another example here. Let's just talk about the EB5 visa, for example, right? You broker the EB5 visa property investment deals that we talked about earlier on, and you do 4 deals a month. Now, 4 deals averaging about 500,000 per investor, right? And you structure it to have a 5% commission, a 5% variable. Okay, so that's 100,000, and you multiply by 12 over 12 months in a year. That's $1.2 million. But maybe most of you can't even figure out how to do that. Maybe that's too big for you. What if you only did half of that? What if you only did 2 a month? Because you're just getting started and you structured these deals. You did 2 per month at 500,000 per investor times 5%. That's 50,000 times 12. That's 600,000. I mean, what if you only did 1 a month? That's still 300,000. Can you see yourself doing that? Is that something that you might be interested to learn how to do? This is why we asked the question, do you think maybe you are selling to the wrong audience? This is the difference between just B2C versus B2B. And once again, we're not telling you not to stop doing B2C. Keep mastering your B2C, but in the meantime, start to learn the skill of B2B. And for those of you who are already in B2B, use these classes to level up. Use these classes to close more deals of bigger value, smoother, have longer lifetime value for each of the transactions. Does that make sense? So I want to share a boom here. Dana, would you be so kind? Let's read this.
Yes, I'm here to share my 4th boom and 5th boom. I closed EB5 500K deal by negotiating commission from 5% to 6%. Signed 5 deals, earned 150K. Now that doesn't get me too excited because I know I will get there. But the surprise thing happened. My prospect invited me to join them to open EB5 agent in China to help rich people to come to the American dream. Boom.
Boom. So once again, this is the one that we talked about. That's that EB5 deal. Okay, moving on. So now what's holding you back? Let's ask this, okay? Now, before we actually go into all of these things, I'm just going to cover it and we're going to take a short break. I want to give you some thinking time to think about it. What's holding you back? Be honest here. You're amongst a trusted group of individuals here. No one's going to judge you. Dan says lack of business acumen, no previous sales experience. Ivan says all 3. Robert, and if you see something, if you think of something that's not even listed here, type in the chat as well. If you don't reveal to us, we can't help you.
Aaron says self-consciousness.
Nobody gives me permission, lack of confidence, okay?
Mindset and skill.
False information.
Limiting beliefs a few times.
Comfortable where we are. Yeah, very honest there, Bogdan. Okay.
From Buckley, lack of knowledge of the industries.
That's very real. Can it be learned though? I think it can. If you have the desire, it can be learned. So We are going to take a short 5-minute break. We're going to come back. We're going to address some of these limiting beliefs, the false information, the lack of skills. And how about we not just address them, but we give you the skills, we equip you so that you can overcome these limiting beliefs, so that you now have less things holding you back. I can't guarantee it's going to release everything. That's something you have to work on. But I can guarantee you this. If you're willing to learn, we're going to do it together with you. Sound good? Let's take a short 5-minute break and we'll be right back.
All right, while you get something to drink and stretch your legs real quick, I want you to think about your number one takeaway you have had so far. And when you have one in mind, I want you to put it in the chat, your number one takeaway, and put it in the chat. Mustafa says the acronyms. All right, business acumen, Andrea says. The three rules, William. That's right. Thinking too small. All right. Martin says structuring deals. How B2B deals can be structured. Trusted advisor. Credibility, value zone. Yes, a lot of trusted advisors. It's very good. All right. But we still have some time, so make sure if you need something to eat, you need something to drink, you have to maybe do something real quick, make sure you do it right now, because in a few moments we will go back and dive more into the B2B. And maybe just a question for you guys. How many of you have made some mistakes in B2B sales before? Let me know in the chat. Yes. Cecilia, Darren, Diego, Aaron, a lot of yeses in there. Okay, but that's good. You see that you are not alone. All right. Now, if we would reveal some answers on how you can tackle those mistakes, would that be good for you? Would that be something you are interested in? Yes? Okay. That's good. But we still have a few minutes over. So like I said, if you need to do something, do it real quick, because in a moment we will go further with the class.
Okay, we are back. Everyone type in the chat and say, I am an ultra high ticket closer. Type in the chat, I am an ultra high ticket closer. The copywriters are probably handwriting it out right now. Okay, good. Okay. Get ready, roll up your sleeves, make sure your pens have enough ink or an extra pen, your notes, what we're about to cover. This is going to be the meat and potatoes. Even, I'm confident 100% that even from just tonight, you will never look at B2B the same way again. You will be able to take some of the actual, it's going to be a combination of not just the mindset, but also the practicality. And immediately, it's going to be a lot faster than high ticket closing, where you're able to see opportunities all over the place and actually apply it. This is going to be very much an implementation way of learning. It's going to be very experiential. Would you like that? Okay, let's continue. So ultra high ticket closing myth number 1. Higher education or degree is needed. Now we saw some, in the Discord chat, we saw some members typing that was something that was maybe something that's holding you back. Is it true? Have you felt this? Yes and no. I'm not going to lie to you. There are going to be some B2B jobs, careers, opportunities that do require, and they'll put it in their job descriptions if that's what you're looking for. If you're trying to get into the B2B world, you might need to have some sort of high degree. Do you want me to share another story with you? I'm going to share. I'm going to be very, I don't think I've ever told this story with anyone ever before. Very few people actually know this story. And I know if Dan were here, Dan would probably be shaking his head and probably going, oh my gosh, not another story from Desmond. How many of these stories do you have, Desmond? So how many of you know that I lived in Japan for 12 years? And during that time, I did a lot of B2B sales. I started off selling, first I started as an English teacher, then I got into selling English courses, then I got into corporate training, and then from the corporate training, I started actually selling more of the consultative and the management training, which was really B2B sales. And during that time, it gave me exposure to a lot of the Fortune 500 companies, many of which, such as the Goldman Sachs, the Lehman Brothers, the McKinsey, the Accenture, the Sony, the Pioneer, the Hitachi. My gosh, yeah, I'm just trying to rattle off all the names. There were some pharmaceutical companies, Bayer, there was Deutsche Bank, there was Callion, which is now Credit Agricole, Credit Suisse. All these different banks, I was communicating with the C-suite executives, usually the HR managers, the country managers, and I would deal with some of the VPs and in order to sell programs, to sell them they would have budgets and so forth. So there was some of my background in the B2B world. And eventually I was able to build the trust. I became that trusted advisor. I earned the credibility of a managing director at Goldman Sachs. And he happened to be the managing director that was specializing, he handled what was called special situations. So some of you who've come from the financial world, you understand about the Whitehall Fund, which is a very famous fund that was, it's managed by Goldman Sachs. And also during that time, I was trying to get out of the industry that I was in. I was trying to get into the B2B sales. I was trying to be inside Goldman Sachs in the financial. I wanted to do front office. I wanted to do the trading floor. I wanted to be in the investment banking side of things, but I couldn't get into Goldman Sachs. And I had a self-limiting belief, just like many of you. Here's my confession. I don't have a university degree. Like Dan Lok, I'm actually a college dropout. I don't have a bachelor degree. I did study for a short period of time. I got credits, but I never graduated. I dropped out and I went to Japan. And during that time, even while living in Japan, it was very difficult to get a visa, first of all, without a degree. But I found my way closing and doing the right things to eventually apply enough times and prove and get sponsors and people to sponsor me. I had to close them to sponsor me. And then even with Goldman Sachs, when I joined their company, I went through 18 interviews over a period of 4 months. 18 interviews. That's 18 managing directors I had to close on why I should be accepted in. And I worked actually as the diversity manager. I was a VP of diversity, right? That was the position I was applying for Japan. And I would be reporting to the VP, for Asia Pacific and also to head office in New York. And so I closed all 18, including the senior VP of Asia Pacific. And very, very, and everyone was saying, now the position was for diversity, which is actually falls under the category of HR. So for managing training programs, for implementing, managing diversity means having equal opportunities in the workspace and creating opportunities for members to rise up in the ranks. We had female staff that were might have been a working mom and create opportunities where they could have a daycare and also take training so that they could become a managing director and empower female staff members to rise to senior level management ranks and so forth. So those are some of the initiatives that I was actually tasked to do. Now, do you think in their job description, the person they're looking for, Goldman Sachs, Ivy League people go in there, right? Harvard graduates. In Japan, it'd be Todai, or Keio University students that would get into it. Kyoto University students would get into it. Over here in North America, it'd probably be the Harvards, the MITs, they'd be hiring the quants, people that have those university degrees. I didn't have one. So how did I close them into that? That's a quick question, right? So I want to just share that personal story. I don't think I've ever told that to anyone else. I found my way going through 18 interviews and closing them on the idea that they needed a diversity manager. They all saw me as a sales guy. They were like, you should be applying for front end. Why are you applying for back end HR? And I said, look, you want diversity. What other better way to have diversity than to have someone who has to go and close all the managing directors on the idea of diversity? And look at all the stereotypical HR people you've got. There's no diversity in the HR department. So let me be the first person to create diversity. And that's how I got the position. Unfortunately, though, I actually lost that position a few months later. And it was around that time that obviously I was also consulting and I was doing some stuff with Lehman Brothers. And that's when the Lehman went under, and I was actually there at the time. So many of you know that story, and that's a secret story I've never shared with anyone before. So you do not need a higher education or degree to get into B2B sales. Ultra high ticket closing truth number one. It's about your communication skills, your presentation skills. And ultimately, I would do this more than anything out there. If you dropped me somewhere in Timbuktu or anywhere in the world, and you took away and you stripped away everything from me, the number one thing I would seek out is a mentor to show me how to do it. I'd figure out a high income skill that I want to learn. Let's say I got hit in the head and I have amnesia and I can't remember all these 42 years of my life. I would remember one thing, just one thing, and that would be I would know, I maybe tattoo it on my arm that says high income skill and find a mentor. Very, very important. With a mentor, you're buying speed. This is what Dan Lok teaches all the time. With a mentors, you're buying speed. And that's why many of you are here. I think we all agree on that. Right? We all agree on that. That's right. So apart from some of the medical or financial services, I jumped in the deep end. I just went straight into the financial services. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. But I was confident that if I got my foot, and this was at the age of, geez, what was I? I was 33. My first son was about to be born. Eden was about to be born. I was 33 years old. So I'm competing against the 24-year-olds, 25-year-olds coming into the company. And here I am 33, no degree. And yet I've got to go through 18 interviews, close all the managing directors to let me into the company. And they all approve me. Every single one of them endorsed me. I didn't even have one person that went, it was, out of 18, all 18 said yes. Right? So that, and I had to close in English and Japanese. Some of the managing directors were Japanese, so I had to speak in business acumen Japanese enough to convince them that I could work there. So let me show you some other examples here. So where does it ask for a university degree? There are hundreds of examples here. I just pulled a couple. I didn't have much time to go into it. Indeed, and take a screenshot of this if you want to. You can zoom in a bit. The fine print is a little bit small here, but I'm just going to point out some of the stuff that's in the red boxes, okay? Take a look, for example, Enterprise Account Executive. This is posted with Indeed. Vancouver, 70,000 to 240,000 a year. Take a look at what's underlined there. We're looking for an enterprise sales consultant to join freelancer.com. Funny enough, CEO and owner of that happens to be a friend of Dan Lok's, right? Leading Fortune 500 world leading organizations, including Deloitte, NASA, Harvard, Airbus, and many more. Take a look at the requirements below there. Collaborate with colleagues. Collaborate with colleagues. Manage quota and territory of North America, most recognized and successful companies. Glassdoor, sales development rep. Look what's in the box. Activity, okay, so what sort of activities? Associated with pipeline generation. So ongoing activity associated with pipeline generation, including but not limited to identifying, qualifying, and converting target prospects into pipeline opportunities. SDR's work, one-to-one with account executives and senior SDRs, and grooming to be promoted into an account executive role. A defined career path will be outlined for you. What did I tell you? Now, what you'll do, take a look at some of the lines there. You can go read all the other ones, but I'm going to focus on the red lines. Supporting and collaborating with account executives in consistently meeting and exceeding quotas to build a robust sales pipeline. Articulating and customizing Alokida's, I can't pronounce their name properly, but that's the name of the company, value proposition to decision makers. Providing insights and collaborating with marketing and ensuring conversion rates are world-class across the funnel. Let's just look at the vernacular that's being used here, folks. This is the business acumen that we talk about. This is the B2B world. If you're not using these sort of vocabulary, you're reading the wrong books. What is the most common word I've already read out so far? What's the one word? Let's see who's paying attention. Collaborate. Bingo. Kelly takes Dan takes second. Collaborate. We'll cover that in a second. Let me move to the next one here, okay? Compensation, 95,000 at plan, including 45 to 55 salary plus commission and bonus. Required skills, abilities, and experience. Excellent computer skills is important for prospecting. See yourself as persuasive, competitive, successful sales hunter and closer. Excellent written and oral communication and presentation skills essential. Extraordinary persuasion skills and ability to handle objections skillfully. All of you are candidates. You all come from high ticket closer. I'm assuming that if you've applied those, you've learned it, you've earned some of the, at least the basic level. Now all you need to do is stack on top of it. All you need to do is add the extra skills. Change a couple of your vernacular, communicate to more individuals, understand working more with a team. That's how you can work in the B2B world. And again, these are for people wanting a career. Many of you are business owners. I'm just giving examples for those of you that want a career. Maybe you just need some cash flow right now. So myth number 2, I need to be older with prior corporate experience. Who believes that's true? Okay, Jack says no. No. Yeah, Vincent says me. In the B2B world, it depends on what you're thinking. Start with the SMBs. You do not need to be older and with prior corporate experience. And there will be a couple of unicorns, but I'm going to show you one. I'm going to shock you with one. Many of you already know this individual. You may have heard of him from our mentor, Dan Locke, and his mentor as well. But really, the truth is size, not age, matters. And hey, I know what you guys are thinking. Not that kind of size, you dirty-minded guys, okay? We've heard Dan actually tell that joke. I'm going to bring it up again. Not that kind of size. Size does, it's not, age matters. It's not age that matters, okay? So the size of the deal that you're doing. As you know, Josh Kim, he's been rolling up and he's been acquiring companies. That's the private jet that he flies around. Lives in Vegas, penthouse suite, right? He rolls up companies. He's not doing small deals. Do you think he has self-limiting beliefs? Or do you think he believes in a mentor that's given him a system and he follows that system? He deals with bankers. He deals with business owners that are late 50s, 60s, 70s. He walks in and he acquires their companies, makes them an irresistible offer. Do you think he knows how to communicate the vernacular, the right words, what to say, how to say it, what shifts the business owner, the motivated seller to sell to him? Do you think he knows how to get the bankers that are looking to finance these deals? Well, again, it's not about the age. It's the size of the deal. So the truth is, it's about business acumen, and many of you already know this, but I want to point it out. I want to give you some examples. So if you've never heard Josh Kim speak, and how many of you actually know how old Josh Kim is? Yeah, he's about 21 right now. When he first started, he was actually much younger. He was about 17 years old when he first started with Dan Pena. He's 21 right now. And at the time of this filming of this video, he's just under 21. Okay. So you can find this. Don't do it now. Don't do it now. We'll do it after. We'll give you a link. You can be resourceful. You can search on YouTube, but you can look for this title here and you can go watch it. There you go, Dan Pena, sending you a bunch of views to your video as well too. And Dan Pena does reply in the comments as well too. So if you ever do say something, don't embarrass Dan Lok with anything that you might say. Otherwise, he'll come to us and be like, Dan, your high ticket closers, how you heavy hitters, all you heavy hitters, they're coming into my YouTube videos and they're putting all these messages in there. Suddenly I got 1,000 views overnight on this one video. Okay, so be respectful. Don't go and put your foot in your mouth when you're on his videos. But listen to how Josh communicates. So Dan Pena will ask him questions and he'll reply. And that's a 21-year-old. Where did he learn that? It's something that you can learn. It doesn't take him very long. He just put his mind to it and he just started to learn. He started to surround himself, started listening to more professional ways of speaking, and he started to develop that vernacular. Many of you, I think a lot of you still have a lot of that thug talk. We grew up in a generation now where we use so much colloquial. The millennials. Yo, man, that's so lit. Man, I was woke. Right? You've heard some of you've heard the YOLO role play. Do you think that's going to help you in the business acumen of the B2B world? Is it so ingrained in the way that you speak? Maybe it's the people that you surround yourself with every day. Your buddies. Hey, guy. Hey, dude. Yo, what's up, man? I don't know. I'm just saying. Start to look at the way you communicate. Be more cognizant. Measure yourself. There are apps out there. I'm not going to recommend any of them, but there are apps out there. You can download them that will help you to increase your vernacular, and they will help you to understand more business acumen terms. Highly encourage you get those and start to practice. There's a lot of them. Don't post any affiliate links in the chat. I'm just kidding. I know you guys are not going to do that. Okay. Ultra high ticket closing myth number 3. Who's getting value from this? Should we stop or should we keep going? Come on. Okay. I'm just warming up. We haven't even gotten to the stuff that you need to do. This is important. This is what's going to help you close those deals. So we first have to eliminate these myths. I have to show you that these things are possible. And I don't have enough time to show you everything, but I'm just trying to give you some examples. And if you can borrow my belief, if you can borrow our belief, we can do this together. So myth number 3, it's downright brutal with lots of politics. You need to step over colleagues to win. Yes, sometimes. Yes. Corporate worlds, B2B, sometimes can happen that way. It can. But you attract what you are. You manifest it. You're in full control. No one forced you. So what do you see in this photo here? What do you see? Suits, a team, stock image.
Happy, community.
You're seeing the wrong thing there, whoever typed stock image. You're missing the point. Team. B2B team. B2B many times is a team sport. So closing B2B is actually a team sport. You will only be successful when you're closing as an A team. The B2B world is very much all about working together. That's why you'll notice we have SDRs, we have AEs, we have all those that are out there. You can't do it on your own. Okay. So let's show you some examples of what I mean. What do you see here? Let's see what we see in the chat.
Team sport, Patrick says, teamwork,
Yep.
working together,
Well,
leader.
let's look deeper. Let's look deeper, right? So this is a dragon boat race. In case you did not know, dragon boat racing. It's quite popular. It's become very popular all around the world. It started off in Asia. Hong Kong is very popular for this. In fact, I believe this race, this photo was taken in Hong Kong, and in Vancouver as well too. Our hometown, Dan Locke's hometown, my hometown. You know, it's also very popular. I was actually a dragon boat captain, so I was that person in the front there with the beating the drum. Okay, and it's very important because that person controls the speed of the boat. Even though you have the coxswain on the back who controls a bit of the direction, it's the paddlers. The paddlers work as a team. So, and I was a first time dragon boat captain. I rowed for, well, we paddled for the team. It was actually sponsored by, at that time it was BC Tel, which eventually became TELUS, but it was BC Tel, I believe, at the time. And there was a team that brought me on. Now, pay attention. Boat number 5 is in the lead. You can't really see boat number 4, but you can see boat number 7 is definitely trailing behind. What is the difference between the paddlers on boat number 5 and boat number 7? Orchestrated, coordinated, synergy, they're out of sync. Yeah, I mean, take a look at the guy with the sunglasses. I mean, he even looks shocked. He's kind of going like, oh my God, we're behind, we're losing. You can see how discoordinated they are. Now pay attention to the green team, number 5. Look at all their hands. Look at the team that is paddling on the right side. They're all lifting their hands up. Look at how the height of all their knuckles. That is an A team when they're moving in unison. And that is why their boat is winning. When you can get a whole team to paddle like that, and that's what B2B closing is about. It's working as a team like that. So in sales, you normally have a marketing team. You might have heard this. We talk about marketing meetings where the marketing, and we in this slide here, we just represented one individual. Many times the marketing team is a very large team. Gabe on our team manages and works with, he works with probably close to about 30 individuals on the marketing team, whether they're external, they're internal, they're vendors, they're contractors, everyone, the marketing team plays a big part. Marketing is a team. We put one individual over here, but it's actually a full team. They could be their lead generation, they're qualifying, they're nurturing, they're doing MQLs, marketing qualified leads, MQLs, write this down, MQLs, marketing qualified leads. Those marketing qualified leads will reach a certain threshold. Normally a lead scoring will help do that. And then it goes over to what's called an SDR or BDR, right? Which is the sales development rep or the business development rep for the inbound. And then they will qualify. Then you've got the account executive, which closes the sale. Then you've got the account managers, and the account managers are normally working on the service delivery team. The service delivery team, they will normally help with the contracts. They will normally work to assign a customer success manager or a client success manager. And then last but not least, you also have a CSR, customer or consumer service rep. So this is how the teams work in most B2B inside sales teams. Next, I want to show you some examples. This is real life. This is within our own organization, the B2B sales. There's Michael Mason. Shout out to Michael, right? We want to give him some recognition. And you can see, he says BAM. So BAM represents within this is our own internal jargon, but that means we have an appointment set. Michael set the appointment. I'm the AE. And you can see the date not too long ago and a summary of the client. Mohammed stopped working, State California, and we have to black out some information just to protect the client. But you can see he wants to quickly go from 1 million, he wants to get up to 1 million in revenue in 12 months by scaling up. Next. This is the opposite side now. Now you have myself as the AE communicating to Michael. Tag team. He sets it up, he tees it up, I hit the home run. Right? AE closes a deal, originally meant to be a Dragon 100 applicant, however, was deemed not qualified, challenged him to go through HTI, build up more solid brand, leveraging social media and best practices in HTI before we would have another conversation about him joining Dragon 100. And there you go, tag team. You'll notice we also tag Joel, we tag Sean, let them know what's going on. It's a tag team. Now, here's some other companies. You can see Tea Time, close one, 900,000. Payment terms, net 60. Tea Time is a tea manufacturer based out of Seattle with over 80 standalone retail shops. Business contact, Cami Meal. Last but not least, big thanks to Tina for helping coach me through the tricky negotiations, right? And you can see over here, even in the Slack chat, and I went into the Slack chat and I was basically grabbing some of the other images. Hi, Daniel, I recently received 150 plus leads. Is this a glitch? Seems like way too many communicating to marketing. No glitch. The recent outreach campaign blew up on Monday. Tea Time, Rodney goes in again. Another deal closed, right? 74,000. Tea Time is Australia's #1 tea supplier. Full credit for the upgrade goes to Zoe, who did all the heavy lifting. Can you see how B2B sales is a team sport? This is very, very important to understand. It is a team sport. Ultra high ticket closing myth number 4. I can only close bigger deals, B2B, after I've had some experience closing smaller ones, B2C. How many of you feel this is true? No, yes, me, no, okay. Let us help you to overcome this. Some of you have been doing B2C, and that's great, but you can start by doing B2B right off the bat. You do not need to have B2C to close B2B. B2B needs more specialized skills in specific areas of the sales process. That's it. So as long as you can plug into a system, if you can learn that, and we will give you as much as we can, real practical, what we've used, what other companies, our clients are using, and we're talking clients that are SMBs and enterprise companies are using. Would you like that? If you could use that, do you need to go and do B2C sales first? Maybe you're doing B2C, that's great, keep doing it. But if you've never done it and you want to start off fresh, you can actually start with B2B. So you need just the ability to communicate different types to the different types of business people, create the deeper bonds, as we talked about those 3 habits, become that trusted advisor. And if you know how to do that, you will close the deals. Ultra high ticket closing truth number 6. Again, it comes down to the communications. So let me show you this. These are some other closers that were in the high ticket closer program, but they moved into B2B immediately. Boom! B2B, Fortune 500 company, closed a client for 9,000 down and a 12,000 monthly retainer for marketing services. As I mentioned in my previous boom, I had this in the pipeline. Now it is a closed reality. Retainer, 12,000 a month retainer. B2B, that's a business owner, agency owner who's going after B2B right away. Ralph, any of you may have already heard of Ralph. 6,000, 9,000, 25,000, 35 to 38,000, plus another 20,000. Nice deals, all from the last 2 weeks. I will probably hit 6 figures in just 1 month, and he did. He did 110,000 to be exact. And I'm extremely grateful for this program. Highly recommend to attend the classes, watch the replays, and trust the process. If you feel you would need another course, just watch the replay. There is many more to discover every single time. So let me ask you a question. If Ralph can do it, what's stopping you? If Pablo can do it, what's stopping you? How can you set yourself up now for success in the B2B? Starting today. How can you do that? How can you avoid the most common pitfalls when trying to transition or succeed in the B2B sales? We're going to cover these questions. I want to answer these for you. So these are the common mistakes. Make sure you're writing notes because I'm going to give you the secrets. With each mistake, I'll follow up with a secret. Would you like me to do that? Everything I'm teaching you here, here's my word. Everything we're showing you here, we practice every single day. We eat our own cooking. This works. And if you use it, it will work for you. So let's get into it. Ultra high ticket closing, secret number one. Sometimes it requires face-to-face to seal the deal inside B2B sales versus outside B2B sales. This is a little bit more advanced. We might cover it a little bit more as we go through the weeks here. For now, most of you will be thinking of B2B sales as what we call inside sales. Who knows the difference between inside sales versus outside sales? We'll cover this a little bit later on, but just type in the chat. Who knows the difference between inside sales versus outside sales? Now, naturally, with the way things are going on with social distancing and everything happening around the world, there's not as much of the outside sales going on right now. But things are not going to remain this way forever. And so, yes, outside sales, field sales, meeting clients, attending events. Yep, where you go out and you present. Okay, so the secret is you don't need to. Okay, this is the relying only on phone and email. In B2C or even in HTC, we taught you to do a lot of closing by phone, but we also touched a bit on attending events. That is a form of outside sales. And then with B2B internal sales, many times you've got a marketing team, you've got marketing meetings, you've got SDRs, you're taking phone calls, whether you work in an office and a call center, whether you work remotely from home, whether you're a business owner, whether you communicate to other business owners. Many times we think we only communicate through emails or phone. Not true. Many times some of the biggest deals are done face-to-face to seal the deal. Maybe the initial stages, you do 80%, 90% of the deal is done over the phones, the Zoom, but to seal the deal, maybe you're meeting at that hotel. Maybe you're flying to meet them at their office to seal the deal. Danny Lin was closing some of those EB5 deals, most of it done by phone, Zoom, and then after that, maybe seal the deal. Client flies over with a bag of cash, literally in one of them. Just teasing Danny there, but that wasn't a deal that happened with the EB5, but literally seal the deal. Might need to be done face-to-face. So don't limit yourself to thinking only that emails or phones. Yes, a lot of our work is done. The correct type of emails, the correct kind of phone calls are very necessary for B2B, but also consider that some of the biggest deals are done with outside sales, okay? So let me share with you a bit of the difference between inside and outside sales. Inside sales, prospecting clients, right? You're doing a lot of prospecting. There's SDRs. There's also, depending on inbound, there's cold emails, cold calls, lots of clients, working from an office, smaller recurring deals, using sales tools, LinkedIn, social networks, lower costs, right? Not too bad. 6-figure income, even maybe a 7-figure income doing this. Outside sales, you build relationships, networking. You do this during events, masterminds. You know, just a couple of it. You just have a couple of clients you're working most of the time. Traveling to meet the clients when you're selling enterprise to maybe Oracle or SAP or maybe Cisco. Many times this may require you to go on a business trip to travel. Usually deals larger than 35,000, relying on word of mouth, persuasion, high close rate. When you have the trust, when you're that trusted advisor, it may be a longer sales cycle. You may need to have that. You may need to have that operating capital to travel, to jump on an airplane, to go on a business trip, to close that deal. How many of you, actually, just out of curiosity, type in the chat. How many of you are business owners that have to do outside sales for your business? Keith says him. Yes, I know Keith because of he travels to China for this to meet with the buyers or with Japan. Okay, John does it. Yes, John, I definitely does a lot of B2B. Razmik sometimes. Carolyn says yes. Anthony, when he had his jewelry business, absolutely. Okay. And also Joseph, JJ, yep, with his video productions company sometimes. Okay, Mustafa, body language in outside sales. That might be something, it's interesting. We may or may not cover that. We've got some videos that have covered that in the past, but no promises, okay, Mustafa? We'll try to cover it, but no promises. Maybe if we've got some bonus time, we'll jump into that. So common B2B mistake number 2, chasing only enterprise deals. Some of you don't even have the experience yet. and you're trying to jump into B2B. So you get this feeling that you have to do enterprise sales. Now, how many of you actually from some of the earlier seasons? Maybe you've been with us since anyone before season 4 or 5? Kenny's been season 1, Chris is season 1, Jake, Buckley, Jazz, Yao, Joanne, Heidi, right? So you know that at one point, Dan was also exploring in the enterprise sales side of things. And even that too, we were explaining to the closers, you don't need to jump into enterprise sales right away. What you want to do is start off with SMB. Start focusing on the smaller companies. What is SMB? Who knows what, on average, what is an SMB? How big is their revenue? How many employees do they have? What is the average? Dan says under 200. Delia says 50. Small to medium-sized businesses, yeah, up to about 50 million in revenue. Usually sweet spot around about 10 million, 10 million. Yep, 50 people or less. Those are SMBs, and many of those companies, they're manufacturers, they're service providers, they're IT companies, that need B2B sales. They need B2B ultra high ticket closers to help them, right? So you don't necessarily always have to chase those. Start off with the SMB, work remotely, especially in this climate right now, this global environment. Work remotely with the inside sales teams. That's going to be one of the fastest ways that you will sharpen your teeth and gain the experience of B2B sales aside from going through the ultra high ticket closing program. That will be real practical ways of actually applying it. Now, another common mistake we've seen, common mistake number 3. Many of you, you're guilty of this. You know what I'm talking about. That's you. You still see yourself as a salesperson. I cannot stress this enough. You communicate to executives and business owners as a salesperson still. It's that green monster. You oversell. You talk too much. This is an internal issue. This is an identity issue. And it comes out in HTC, you have time to go into Discord and you can practice, and maybe even sometimes you're going into closes and training or some of the internal sales that we have or B2C sales. But in B2B, you don't have that luxury. The best B2B ultra high ticket closers, they know how not to sound like a salesperson. They become the trusted advisor. They become the trusted advisor in 2 moves, right? Ultra high ticket secret. So let me tell you the story. That's me. 2014. Back in Canada, single parent, working at Sony. You see the haircut, right? The smile on my face? Not really. Do you know why the wall behind is white? It's because I'm in the storeroom. I was sneaking into the back storeroom, playing on the Wi-Fi. I was doing my side business while it was pretty quiet out there. So that was me, B2C sales. I was really, really good at selling TVs, selling cameras, selling Sony plans, right? Sony Care. I didn't really touch all the headphones as much. And then I became sort of a assistant sales manager. And eventually, just before Sony shut down, I became a manager of Sony, right? I was looking after 3 stores as well. And then they shut it all down. During that same year, just as they're about to shut down the Sony stores, I met a mentor. This is one of the first original photos ever. This is that famous story that you may have heard where I closed them on doing a video interview with me. And the reason you're not seeing the video interview is because the damn SD card was not formatted. So all we have was just a photo to capture the moment. Priceless, 1 hour, $10,000 worth of advice from a mentor. I know I'm laughing. If Dan's listening to this, he's still shaking his head. I'm surprised I'm still around. I was late. I was unprepared. I looked good in a suit. That was one of my last suits I brought back from Japan. That necktie is a Baldus Serini. It's a Hugo Boss necktie. Very expensive, $300, $400 necktie. And you can see, but that was my only suit I had. You know, one of two that I brought back from Japan. And I sat down. This is at the Vancouver Club, and I started to learn from a mentor. And I started to learn how to think outside of B2C sales. Started teaching me, started showing me how to close business owners. So one of the first things I was closing was actually the Danlock Inner Circle. So I'm dealing with entrepreneurs, other members that eventually joined Team Danlock and many other operations that we've done. So they're business owners. I'm speaking to business owners, right? And here I was doing B2C sales, and I had to transition into B2B sales. I had to learn how to change my vernacular. Dan would laugh at some of the things I would say as a typical sleazy salesperson. Very different world. He taught me how to pivot from that, how to conduct myself in that area. And then as time went on, I became director of sales and worked with the scaling the sales team up. And even as eventually as time went on, and I shifted my roles, and you guys know Joel very well. Joel also, very similar story, has risen through ranks, and Joel will be coming on, teaching, sharing his best knowledges with all of you. Would you guys like to know that? Joel's really good at operations and bringing in systems as well too. He brought it to the next level, right? So going from B2C to then learning from a mentor to then learning how to close. And this photo was actually taken of me at HQ. And you can see I'm writing notes down there. You don't see my phone. It's underneath it's cut off from the photo. But I just finished doing a closing call, writing notes, entering into the CRM. And this is, you can see the skyline, the view of Vancouver in the background. So that was B2B sales. I'm doing B2B sales already right there. And then this is outside sales. Traveling to masterminds, traveling to events. Every single one of these heads that's in the room here, most, if not all of them, 7-figure or larger business owners, SMBs, enterprise owners in there. You can't see, but Kevin Harrington's also sitting in a room. So having the business acumen to get up on stage and present and speak to them, you can see it's a very different image. It's a very different style of closing. So step number one, I want to break it down to steps for you. Okay, so step number one, write this down. Decision makers are people. Speak to them as a fellow business owner or executive. Now, I know what you're saying. I know what you're thinking. Michael Mason and I even had this conversation. Michael's going, well, but he's got this nice voice, deep voice. He goes, but Desmond, you've got business experience, and I've never been a business owner. And I said, Michael, you are a business owner. As a closer, you are in business for yourself. You are already Michael Mason Inc. You are Michael Mason Ltd. You are Michael Mason S Corp, C Corp, limited liability. You are. You already are a business owner. It's just a mindset shift. That's all it takes. You just need to look in the mirror and understand that you are a business owner. Dress like one, communicate like one. If there's one thing that I've learned from Dan Lok, I've always watched as he's evolved into the next iteration of who he is. And the very first thing I always saw when that shift happened was the identity shift. When you can get that, when you can wrap your head around, when you can wrap your heart around that you are a business owner, then you will start to communicate to business owners as if you are one. But as long as you still continue to believe that you're not a business owner, you will continue to not close B2B sales. It's as simple as that. It's an identity shift. The world's fastest growing companies are modernizing their sales through humanization at scale. What does that mean? Sounds fancy, doesn't it? Through humanization at scale. There are studies, there are reports, statistics have proven that the B2B world is very much a relationship business. It's relational capital. That's right. Thank you, Robert. Real connection. Now, there are tools, there are systems, there's things that you can use to speed up that process, but it's a hybrid. And that is why today's class, we started off with the word hybrid. It's a hybrid. We're going to show you the best practices of how to manage and leverage some of the technologies and also some of the softer skills, the art of relationship capital. So, business owners, when you're speaking to business owners, and this is why it's so important. Maybe take a screenshot of this. This is something you want to go back to. This part is very, very important. We're getting into the really serious parts. Aside from the front, which is very important about the mindset, this is very important. Ask yourself when you communicate to another business owner, it doesn't matter if they're a plumber, a dentist, an owner of an insurance brokerage, of a real estate brokerage, a business owner that owns a SaaS, how is it Desmond is able to communicate? You ask yourself, you replace my name with your name. And how is it I've been able over the years to be able to communicate, travel? Why does Dan send me on business trips? Because he knows that when I communicate to them, and I'm not perfect either, guys. My mentor is always giving me tips on how to get better. It gets harder. It gets even more harder. It gets harder on me even more, the bigger the deals we're dealing with. But how does he trust me to do that? It's because he knows that when I'm there, I behave and act as a business owner of the highest caliber. Okay, so let me ask you a question. Do they feel you understand their business, their materials, their budgets, their industry, clients, marketing, their challenges? Let me repeat that. This is important. It's worth spending some time on. Do they feel you understand their business? Or are you there to sell them something? Do they feel you understand their business? Did you do your research? Did you ask the right questions? Are you trying to close them in one call, or maybe nurture the relationship over 3 months? Keep giving value, keep offering them, asking them questions, finding out what some pains are, and then just finding a solution for them without charging them anything. Do the clients understand? There's a lot of work that you can do before the call. Then you ask during the call. You keep your mouth shut. You just ask questions. You write lots of notes. And then you go research and you get answers for them. You become that trusted advisor. Do you remember that image I showed earlier on? Where you can take some of the bandwidth away from them, help relieve? That's when you demonstrate you understand their challenges and their marketing. So do you understand what is important to them? Really? Do you really understand what's important to them? What pains they're facing, what they cannot discuss with their employees or staff? Do they see you as a salesperson or as a fellow business owner and a partner? Perhaps someone who has experienced services or tools that can help them solve their business challenges as well as get them to their goals. So for those of you, I'm going to help you out. For those of you, and again, I'm not using Michael a lot to point him out or embarrass him. It's a great example. He's a joy to work with, really amazing and growing really rapidly and fast. But I'm using him because we work in the B2B team, and Michael is saying to me that, he goes, Desmond, I don't have sales. I'm not a business owner, unlike you. And he sure had me fooled, because the way Michael speaks, the way he prepares documentation, everything else is very professional. I would have thought Michael has already been in business for several years. And so can you see how my perception of him was? I thought he was a business owner, and until he opened his mouth and told me he was not a business owner, that all came from his own self-limiting belief, right? Now, he doesn't have to lie. I'm not telling you to be disingenuous or lie, but it all starts in the head. And so what I was saying to Michael was, maybe you don't have to pretend to be, when you say like, I'm a fellow business owner and a partner, but maybe you have access. So for example, we have the B2B sales team, and the B2B sales team is handling the intake interviews of the Dragon 100. So there's a lot of business owners. This is a real case situation here, right? Real business owners, quite intimidating, some of them, in fact, right? Some of them, $20 million business, $50 million business. Yet I don't pretend to be, I may not try to stand toe to toe with, I'm a business owner, so I have that belief that I'm a business owner, but then maybe I'm connecting that business owner to Dan. And Dan has the entire advisory board. And so combined with all the advisory board, the billionaires that are part of the advisory board, the legal, the financial, the organizational, the operational, the IT, the tech, all those individuals, I represent them. I'm a fellow business owner and I represent them. So I'm not here, I'm just listening. I'm absorbing the information for you, and I'm going to go get the answers for you. Would you like me to do that? That's the mindset. That's the presence that I put out to the business owner. Really, go back and listen to this part here. This is critical. It is absolutely critical to close B2B sales. If you can convey that feeling, if you can convey that trust, that integrity, that credibility, you will get the sale. Now, when speaking to executives and directors, slightly different game here. In the corporate world, slightly different game here. So let's go through these. Again, I'm going to advise you, take a screenshot of this. Make a note of it, block out time, Saturday, Sunday, whenever it is, listen to the replay of this. It's worth doing it before next class. It will set you up. I can guarantee you'll be an exponential curve, those who actually go back and listen to the replay of this versus those people say, oh, I'll get to it, and they never do. How many times have you done that in your life? And maybe that's why you are where you are, while the rest of us continue to have this slight edge over you. So take a screenshot of this, make a note, block out the time, go back and listen to the replay. So, executives or directors, do you know how to make them feel less risk averse? In the corporate world, many times they're in a position, they're not looking to rock the boat. They may already have a vendor that's providing them service. They've never worked with you before. It's a lot of extra work for them to have to change vendors. And maybe many times you're dealing with an executive director, they tend to be middle age or higher. They don't want to lose that position. Maybe they're waiting for a promotion. Maybe they just want to keep their head down, hit their KPIs, their OKRs, and then maybe rotate out of the company, get recruited to another company and take a higher package. So they don't want to take on a risk of bringing on a new vendor. So you have to be able to communicate that and make them feel less risk adverse. We'll cover this more through the questions and through the things, the strategies, the tactics, the philosophies that we'll use. But I just want to quickly highlight it here for you, okay? Let's move on. Do you have an ability to marshal resources? This is not my own. Let me just tell you that a lot of this has been studied, has been summarized from some of you won't find this in most of the university business books. This is from the experts. I went around and I asked and I, talked to some of the best mentors in B2B sales, enterprise sales. They all summarized, it all narrowed down to these. We shortlisted it down to these. Do you have the ability to marshal resources? Do you understand their business goals? Are you responsive to their requests? Do you demonstrate your willingness to be held accountable? Do you demonstrate your ability to solve problems? Do you work well with their staff? Key here. Do you have a track record of accomplishments? Do you have knowledge of their industry? And do you understand their personal issues? Personal issues, like we talked about in HTC, you've got the surface level, you've got the financial level, and you got the deep level 3 pains. So step number 2, ask questions, get sales. Ask questions, get sales. An executive is someone who has no time to listen to you but all the day to talk to you if you ask the right questions. Let me repeat that. This is definitely a quote you want to take down. An executive is someone who has no time to listen to you, but all the day to talk to you if you ask the right questions. Going back to one of the initial mistakes, many of you behave and act still like salespeople. And if you act like a salesperson, you're in there convincing people in the B2B world. You're trying to convince, even though you're wearing same green monsters coming out again. You're still doing the same thing, still trying to convince. In B2B, the art of closing is all about asking the right questions, pausing, let them reply, asking the proper follow-up questions. So it can be very lonely at the top, and this creates a paradox for a lot of the executives or business owners. The very people you might expect an executive to open up to, for example, their peers, officers, subordinates, those are the ones they may actually confide in the least. Pharmaceutical world, medical, pharmaceutical, in the tech, you might be speaking to a CMO or CRO of the company, a VP of sales. You might be speaking to that person. And that person might actually say, man, like they're struggling to hit their KPIs. They're struggling to hit their OKRs. They can't speak to anyone else in the company. They're worried they might get fired. But if you bring a solution to them and save the day, make them look like a hero, see, they have an image to maintain. However, if you can demonstrate that integrity and credibility through your initial communications, through the relationship building, that you actually genuinely care, you want to alleviate some of the bandwidth, you can solve problems for them, you can marshal resources for them, you can do those things, they will start to open up to you if you've established that rapport and trust with them. So use questions to make them feel understood and create that deep trust. And you want to do this relatively quickly. When I say relatively quickly, it might be in a few short meetings. I'm not in a rush. Many times when I do B2B sales, I'm not in a rush to close the deal in one call. I'm there. I will tell the business owner, I'm not here to close you. I'm here to give you value. I'm here to interview you. I'm here to understand more about your business so that I can go out there, marshal some resources, come back and solve some problems for you. Be that trusted advisor so they can reveal their secrets too. So let me give you some categories of questions. And again, this is the bonus. This is the good stuff. Write these down. These are actual questions that I used in the field. Not all of them. I don't use all of them every day. You don't have to use every single one. I pick and choose like a buffet, like a smorgasbord. I pick and choose which ones are useful. But in general, rule of thumb, I'm going to show you just 3 slides with 3 categories. And later as a bonus, would you like me to give you more categories of questions that I actually practically used on a daily basis? Yes? I'm not seeing the chat blow up fast enough. Dana, I don't know. Maybe they don't want it.
I don't know either, Desmond. Yes.
Okay, now the chat's blown up. Okay, so we're going to cover 3 because I'm looking at the time. We're going to cover 3 categories here, okay? And I want you to say them along with me. You're going to practice asking these questions. These are going to be, it's not just the script, but it's also the tonality and how you ask the questions. So we'll try to cover a couple, and then the rest of them, I'm going to give it to you as a bonus. You're then going to go through it. You're going to study it. You're then going to put into practice. You're going to find opportunities to role play. And for those of you who actually have actual daily business operations and B2B right now, start applying it right away. Don't try to be perfect, just apply it right away. Apply it right away. Apply it right away. Apply what? Apply it what? Right away. Okay, let's go. So what's at the top of your priority list for the rest of the year? So the way you ask it, let's role play here. I'm just gonna role play with myself for a bit, okay? And I'm gonna ask actually, Michael, is Michael in the room? Michael Mason, you around? I believe I saw him in the chat. Type in the chat. Maybe raise your hand, Michael. See if we can get Dana to unmute you. If you've got your mic and you're ready to do it, if you can jump on, let's do that. I'm just putting Michael on the spot here.
All right, looking for Michael. Michael Mason. Yes. Michael, you are unmuted. You
And
can
JJ,
unmute
don't
yourself.
laugh, JJ. You might be next. Godfred, you too as well. Okay, so Michael, you there?
I'm here.
See what I tell you about that voice? That's Michael's voice right there. That's a business owner's voice right there, if you ask me.
Thank you,
And then
Desmond.
ladies, you don't need to deepen your voice to be a business owner. You have a more eloquent and so, sophisticated way of communicating, more empowered way of communicating. Some of the best B2B closers are actually our female closers. We have some of the very best out there. So, Michael, what we're gonna do here is we're gonna do a simple role play. You're gonna play the business owner. I'm gonna play the ultra high ticket closer here. Okay.
Okay.
Well, not drag it on too long here, but just give me the opportunity to ask you these questions. Let's just imagine we're on an intake interview, and we're just conducting that interview right now. I'm asking you some questions, and feel free to ad lib whatever you like, and then we'll jump through a couple of the questions, okay? And then I'll
Okay.
interrupt you when you need to stop. Okay, so let's get started. Let's imagine we've built the rapport and we're talking, and I wanna get down to the meat and potatoes. So I'll say to you something like, well, Michael, I know you're a busy individual. I know you got to get back to your meeting. We've got a hard stop in 30 minutes. Michael, do you mind if I ask you a couple of critical questions? Help me to understand your business so that I can maybe even marshal some resources. And I'm not making any promises, but maybe I might be able to help you solve some issues in your business. Would that be helpful for you, Michael?
That would be helpful.
Okay. So let me ask you this, Michael. I mean, what's at the top of your priority list? I mean, if I could even peer through your computer and just look on your desk and see your to-do list, I mean, what would I see?
Right now, at the top of our list is to expand the organization by 12% by the end of this year, by the end of 2020.
Okay, let me get that right because I wrote it down here. Expand the organization by 12%. What do you mean by 12%? Is that gross sales? Is that headcount? Is that net profit? What does that mean?
That would end up being our total revenue for the year.
Okay, total revenue. And currently, right now, your total revenue, what was the last fiscal year? What did you end off with?
That was at 8.7 million.
8.7 million. Okay.
Yes.
So an increase of 12%. Now, why is that important for you? Why is that 12% important?
That was a number that the board sat down. They took a look at what we accomplished last year and looked at forecasting ahead for the next, all the way up to the next 5 years. And right now, that is the target in front of us.
Okay. And why is that a need to have? Why is that number such a need to have?
It's for the shareholders.
Mm-hmm. So without, getting you in trouble, what would happen if you did not meet that target?
Desmond, I'd rather not think about that at this point.
So I'm going to do my very best with your permission. I can't make any promises, but I'm going to do my very best. I'm going to see what I can do. If we can keep the lines of communication open, Michael, I will try to get some solutions. We'll try to figure this out. I like to see you. I like to maintain this relationship. Obviously, your business is very valuable to us. So I'd like to see you remain in that position and thrive in it. And, but, I just need your permission. And if you can work with me, I'm happy to give you as much of my resources as possible. Would that be good for you?
Yeah, I'd definitely be open to that. I mean, if you can, Desmond, if you can come up with something that can help me get a little closer to reaching that goal by the end of the year, yeah, it'd be a great relationship to have.
All right. Well, now I'm going to ask you one or two more other questions. This just before we get on to another topic here. But those priorities that you talked about earlier on, how are those priorities related back to the revenue? I mean, like the cost reduction, risk reduction, increase in sales. Share with me more about that. How do those priorities relate back to those?
The sales have been pretty steady. It's been a pretty consistent increase. You mentioned cost reduction. That has been a high priority, and also we want to switch this to a little bit more of a scalable model.
Mm-hmm.
We want to be able to increase the revenue, but not have to increase our resources exponentially. Like to be able to keep that down a little bit.
Okay, so if I'm understanding here correctly, also it's important because right now, even though the business is done very well, it's been steady, but it's not scalable yet. Or if I'm even reading deeper here, you've tried to scale in the past, but it increased the cost or the resources. It costs more to do that. And so what you're trying to do here is scale, but without seeing the same exponential increase in cost. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, that's important to know. Okay, off the role play. Round of applause for Michael.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Right? As an example, again, the tonality of how you ask these questions. Here's an assignment. Write this down. You're going to take these exact questions. You don't have to read it word for word. You can have it in front of you and then internalize it. Understand why you're asking these questions. What are you trying to extract? How are you trying to convey to the business owner or the executive that you are really genuinely concerned about their business? And then the way to show that you're not just scripting things out and just asking a question for the sake of asking a question is to be able to ask a follow-up question. When they answer, go deeper. Ask questions why. Is it a nice to have? Is it a need to have? Right? If it's a need to have, why is it a need to have? On the upside, when things work, good. On the downside, if things don't work, what's the consequences? It's a great opportunity for you to then offer your services at that point. All right, JJ. Let's see if we can get JJ out here. If JJ can unmute if you're up for it. Let's go into the next set of questions. I wanna bring JJ out as well too. JJ conducts himself. He's got no headset. Okay, so maybe we'll pass over JJ this time. What about Godfred or Adam? Let's see Godfred. Is Godfred around? I knew Adam would volunteer. Godfred, okay, Godfred's there. Godfred, maybe if you can raise your hand, and Dana, if you help me out to.
Yes.
Okay, let me take a drink in the meantime.
Godfred, you can unmute yourself. Yes.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Perfect.
Godfred, good to hear you. Godfred, what time is it over there right now?
5:45 a.m.
5:45 a.m. Same time for Adam. Okay, those of you in Europe, Africa, no excuses, right? So, Godfred, we're going to cover now another type of questions. This is another category of questions. You can transition through these. You'll notice that I've even organized them in a way that you can sort of start off the business. They're kind of discovery questions, and then we're going to go into achieving your goals, overcoming challenges, and we'll go into a third set, and then the rest of it I'm going to give it to you as a bonus, right? So, Godfred, let's continue the conversation. Just ad lib with me here as if you're a business owner, and we're going to continue the conversation. I'm going to ask you these questions, and by the way you reply, I'm going to show them how I keep rolling the questions more and more. Okay?
All right.
Okay. So, well, Godfred, you know, it's really it's very insightful. I've written lots of notes here. You've been telling me about some of those nice to haves and need to haves. Do you mind if let me ask you another question? How long have you been working on getting to that goal?
You know, I said, and the board did give us that recommendation, and we've tried out a couple of things. We've been doing this for like 2 years, where we've kind of adjusted a couple of things within our company, and yeah, technically we've been doing this for 2-3 years, and it's been working, but it could be better.
Okay, so if I read you correctly, if I'm hearing you correctly, you said it's been working for the last 2-3 years, but it could be better. Can you define a bit more about that? What do you mean by better? Give me some specific numbers. What does that mean?
You know, 8.7 million is actually a great place to start off with, but there's a lot of work behind it. Like, as already mentioned, the scalability is an important factor. And in the modern times, you know, with technology and all the tools that you have, it's really important for us to optimize it to get the best out of it. Our target is obviously to increase the revenue, but the profit margin is also a big part of it.
The profit margin is a big factor as well too. And what have you tried to achieve your goal? I mean, you know, what have you done to try to overcome the challenges in the past?
Oh, where can I start? Basically, we did improve our marketing and also our ad system, which helped out a lot, which brought in much traffic.
Mm-hmm.
However, we did have a lot of work, but the quality was not as we wanted it. Because there's no point in just having a lot of prospects without
Yes.
them being really qualified. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I do. I understand that. And but let me ask a little bit deeper. I don't want to just assume that I understand the question here. So what you're saying here, what didn't work so well was the ads were not bringing you the right type of targeted leads that you needed. Is that correct?
Yes, and we couldn't catch up with it at the same time. It's
Mm,
it's kind of a balance. We had a lot of
okay.
people coming in, but catching up with them or catching up with the right people was what we were trying to optimize in this case.
Okay. And out of all of that, what was actually working well? Was anything working really well at that time?
Yes, our CRM system actually did the work we expected it to do, which is actually coordinated quite well, which was something we implemented last year. And yeah, it did help us get out of a lot of trouble we could have had if we did not have that system in place.
And why do you think that is? Why do you think that CRM was able to help you with that? What was it, a functionality that was just built into the CRM? Was it training, helping the members to use it better? What actually changed?
From the feedback I got from our management, it gave them a good overview of what was happening and where we are having blocking points. Give us an overview of all the different departments and our sales team.
So you were able to leverage the technology to also then give you the proper data, which then allowed the management to make the right decisions, affecting and then circling back to the marketing as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, not only that, but also helped us know where our weak points are within our structure.
Okay, good. So pause the role play. Round of applause for Godfred. Thank you very much, Godfred. Okay.
Thank you.
And you'll see here, even Chris Gambro typed, he says, some prospects, sometimes B2C prospects don't even think so specifically. That's correct. That's the difference between a lot of times B2C world or even sometimes small business owners. And what you'll find, believe it or not, actually, Chris, to your advantage when you're dealing, especially if you're transitioning from B2C and you're moving to B2B, I would try to look for closing opportunities in an ultra high ticket closing scenario where you're closing B2B, but the smaller business owners. Okay. And those smaller business owners could be under $1 million in revenue. Those business owners, when you come in and you leverage and you're asking these sort of questions, now it positions you as an authority. It's a lot easier to come in as an authority when you're now sometimes, and I'm very mindful of making them feel uncomfortable. I'm not there to make them feel uncomfortable when I ask them questions they may not know the answers to. So I will let them know in a, again, it's in a very nurturing way. I will ask them and I say, look, if you don't know your numbers right now, that's okay. And I understand. It's the whole feel, felt, found. I understand. I felt the same way, not all the time. I'm running my business. I'm so busy. I'm taking care of getting the guys out in the trucks. I'm running I'm getting the suppliers in here. I barely have any time. That's okay. But maybe do you think maybe now might be a good time for us to start thinking about these questions? I'm going to ask you some questions. You don't have to answer me. Like I said, today I'm not here to close you. I'm not here to try to sell you anything. I'm just here to understand your business. Maybe write some of these questions down and let's connect next week. And in the meantime, it gives me some time to digest and maybe even find some solutions for you. Would that be helpful? Again, that's another style of how you're closing in B2B. And I would do this with small business owners. I'll get them to think. The good ones will rise to the top. They will think. They'll come back to you and they'll communicate more with you. They'll be like, wow, I never thought of that. That's a great question. I never thought of it from this angle. Automatically, your position as an authority. Okay. Next, plans to achieve your goals and overcome challenges. So let's get one more. I'm going to call upon Adam. I know he's dying. He's putting up his hand virtually. He's going, ooh, pick me, pick me. So Adam, jump on. And the reason I'm calling on these three individuals is because they actually do B2B sales with me on a daily basis, right? With Sean, with the team, they actually are engaged in the field. So I'm bringing them on, and we will find other opportunities to bring some of you on as well too in future role plays. But for now, Dana, is Adam around? Is he raising his hand?
Yes, he is already unmuted.
He's already unmuted. Adam, are you there?
Yes, I am. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Adam. Okay, so Adam, I know it's also 5 a.m. in the morning over there for you. Let's go through this. Let's continue. Let's leverage some of these. Let's continue the conversation as if you're the same business owner that Michael started, that Godfred continued, and please take the baton from now. So then let me ask you this question, Adam. I mean, is this at the top of your priority list? You know, if it isn't, then what is? Like, tell me what's at the top of your priority list? What needs to be done before this becomes a top priority?
So I definitely would say increasing the margins is on top of my priority list.
Okay.
Growing revenue is something, as I said, it's important, yes, but I see increasing our profit margins is way more important than right now.
So, okay, let me get that right. So increasing, say it again. What was the last thing you just said there? That's important. I want to write down.
Increasing my profit margins is the most important thing right now.
So profit margins is actually more important. Okay. And how much time do you think you'll need to effectively, you know, put this in place and work on it to get it going?
We have been on this like basically the last 2 years already. So I don't know how much time we have to put into this. This is also one of the reasons why we wanted to have this conversation, to see like how we're putting more time efficiently into this.
So I'm hearing maybe a bandwidth issue here. Maybe, you know, you're so caught up in the business. If I could perhaps maybe, I don't know, lend some resources, help to take some of that bandwidth off your plate, given, you know, your current workload and you got to keep up with your responsibilities. Is this something that maybe if I could take and solve for you, and maybe if I created a little bit of a small team that just focused on helping you with those profit margins, would that be helpful for you?
That would be insanely helpful, yes.
Okay. And now, do you think you'll need to hire someone to bear that workload, or do you want it to just be done internally?
Okay. So you said you can create a team for that, right? So is this, will you do
I might be able
or?
to. I might be able to. I can't make any promises. I might be able to create a team for you, but let's just say hypothetically I'm able to create that team for you. Have you thought about, I mean, you trying to go through the process of hiring someone internally, the amount of time it's going to take, how much time are you going to lose, how much is it going to cost you, HR department? If we could bring in a team relatively quickly, light, nimble, but able to get results, even if we just shift, we get those profit margins, 1%, 2%. In the big scheme of things, how much is that going to be of value to you?
It would be of tremendous value, yes, because internally, frankly, it will be a challenge to allocate resources internally, because we already spread pretty thin right now. What happens right around the world, spread pretty thin. So if you have a team of people that you already know and trust that can bring these kinds of results, that would be something that we definitely can discuss.
So Adam, while we're on this topic of, you know, resources and internal and budgets, do you mind if we talk a bit about an investment for a second?
Sure.
How much are you budgeting? How much have you put aside to invest in a project like this? If it gets you the profit margins that you're looking for, how much are you willing to put aside? I need to muster and marshal some resources. It's going to take some of the best consultants to be able to do this. I need, you know, I might need a little bit of budget to work with. So what can we work with?
Depends. What do you usually suggest to do?
It really depends. It really depends on, I mean, the scale at which the timeline, you don't have a very big window here. You're looking even 10% of the growth on the uptick, I think would be reasonable, and I think it's already beyond, you know, it's better than most industry standards. You're not going to be able to find consultants that can execute on this and the level of professionalism that's going to protect your position so that you actually look good to the shareholders, you get the results, and they don't even need to know that we've been operating. They can just see it as your department, you executed the initiative, and they will give you all the recognition for actually hitting the targets and OKRs. How would that make you feel?
So you say we can completely let this planet ride it this way. Okay, so that sounds interesting enough. Okay, so how do you usually do that? Because 10%, I have to say, like, that will be something that I have to really sell to finance. So they keep me on a very tight leash here, right? So they will give me, like, if I ask them, I can make 5% happen of, but 10 will be, I really have to sell it to them.
Let's crunch the numbers. Would it be helpful if I actually jumped on a call and what's the name of your who's the head of the CFO, or who's the head of finance?
Yeah, it's Mike.
Mike. Okay, so do you remember what's Mike's last name?
Yeah, it's Mike Silver.
Mike Silver. So what if we did this, Adam? If I can help you, you don't even have to close them on the 10%. What if I actually laid out the numbers and I brought my financial specialist as well to show them why it makes sense, right? We work as a team here. And is there any other decision maker that I need to be aware of? Maybe the CEO of the company, or maybe it's going to be the CMO of the company. Is there anyone else that I need to be aware of?
Yeah, definitely. The CFO is calling the shots for this.
Okay.
But like between you and me, we're having a good conversation here, so I trust you on this.
Okay.
Our CEO really, like, he does not oversee the financial decisions that much, but he likes to have at least a feeling, like a grip on it. So he's not as much as the numbers guy as the CFO is, but he's more of a visionary. So he has to feel that what you're doing is contributing to the big picture. So if you can do that, and they can arrange a call like that, yeah, if you want to make me look good there, then that might be an opportunity for you.
All right. So then let me ask you, I mean, since we're connecting here, at a very, confidential level here, obviously, Adam, let me ask you, do you trust everything you've seen, the credibility I brought to the table here, what I'm offering? Do you trust me to communicate with them? I'm going to communicate with your CEO at a very 30,000 foot view, very visionary level. And thank you very much for the information as well about Mike Silver, the CFO. I'm going to prepare a very detailed explanation and a breakdown of the numbers and what's potentially at risk or potentially to gain when we make this a successful project and make you look like a superstar. Do you trust me enough to do that?
Yeah, I have a good feeling on this, Desmond, but this is something that, like, I'm really trusting you on this. So if we mess this up, then probably you won't have another chance to speak with me because then I will be out. So I really need you to be spot on this.
I understand that. I've been in that situation before myself as well, so I fully respect that. You have my word. I will do everything in my power to make sure that this is a successful project, and you're not at risk here. It doesn't tarnish your reputation. In fact, if anything at all, you're going to be the person that comes to the savior of the company. You're going to be the person that's, I don't want to overpromise. Let's just get to work. Let's roll up our sleeves and let's get to work. Step one, again, let's map this out. Let's set up the next meeting and let's get to work. So off the role play. Okay. Well done, Adam. Round of applause for Adam.
Thanks, Desmond.
Okay. Thank you. Was that helpful? We went into a little bit of extra over. I know Adam is good at ad-libbing. We wanted to take it a little bit more to a close, not just these questions. There's going to be more. Okay. This is just a taste of things to come. Just a taste of things to come. We haven't even started yet. Apply this in real business situations. Can you see the difference? How it's a very fine difference, but it exists. When you know what to look for, you start to see the difference of conducting yourself in B2B situations. Okay, so bonus, these are some of the other topics, the other questions that we will be adding for you. Speaking about the challenges inhibiting them, you meaning the business owner, from achieving their goals, the time to start working towards as well as achieving the stated goals, and sometimes having the hard conversation about the consequences or the implications. If goals are exceeded on the good side, on the heaven, or missed on the hell side. Being able to demonstrate that you're willing to ask those questions and that you're helping them to mitigate those risks will only nurture the trust that they have in you and position you as that trusted advisor. Is that making sense? Okay. So, quick testimonial here from Ralph. At the beginning, you appeared to be someone who just helps Dan. But as I know more about you, I understand that you are really very important to the company and extremely competent in a large field. I really underestimated the importance of you as a key person for Dan Lok. Very impressed. Thank you very much, Ralph. That was a very kind testimonial from you. I did not expect it, but thought I'd just post it here. Again, maybe even in my role over the years, has many evolutions, has always been to be the trusted advisor. Be that trusted advisor. It will pay dividends for you massively in B2B. So common B2B mistake number 4. Wow, almost just over 3 hours, I believe we've been going. We're going to wrap this up. Let's try to keep it within the 4-hour mark here. Common B2B mistake number 4, one thread conversations. So having one connection from the buyer's end is an extremely dangerous affair. 1 in every 5 decision makers resigns every year. This is from EBSTA research. So you want to have multi-thread deals. You want to have connections with multi-thread. If you notice, while I was discussing with Adam, we alluded a bit to bringing in the CFO. I got his name. I purposely took his name down. Why do you think I took his name down? Why didn't I just be happy with Mike? Another point of contact. Yep. LinkedIn. Yes. Research. Yes. So even though Adam gave me his first name, I made sure to get his last name. And guess what? Before I get on a call with Mike Silver, I'm going to do my research on Mike Silver. Maybe Adam might get fired next week before I even get on a call with Mike Silver. Now what happens? I don't have, Adam disappears. I don't have his contact. He's moved off to another company. Maybe he quits. Maybe he takes another job position. Maybe he got headhunted and he's gone off to another company. And this happens very often in the corporate world. B2B, sometimes it happens. One moment you're speaking to a point of contact, next moment you call in the office, next week you call in the office, they're gone. And they'll give you a canned answer. Oh, such and such a person no longer works here with us. That's it. Oh, do you mind if I have their personal phone number? No, can't give out that information, sorry. So if you're not connected with them, with multi-thread individuals, decision makers within the organization, that's going to be very risky for you. So these are 5 that we came up with. We decided to create our own names for them. So B2B sales usually involves on average 5 stakeholders, including 5 decision roles. You have the creator. The person with the primary interest is the return on the investment. Okay, they drive the agenda forward and they find or create the budget. So we call them the creator. You also have the ruler. Now the ruler, their primary interest is allocation and the best use of funds. Many times it could be even the CFO, but not limited to. Get them involved early to learn the decision criteria. Okay. This person sometimes has the ultimate sign-off. It could be the CEO, could be the CRO, could be the CFO, could be a partner, could be a chairman of the board. You need to find out who's the ruler. The explorer, evaluating the purchases from an operational or personal perspective. Asks, will this work here? This is more of the emerald sometimes. You know, we've used the term emerald. This is the person. The explorer is normally trying to find out, will this work here? Does it fit into our systems? You're proposing this new SaaS or this new CRM, but will it work in our company? Will it cause us delays and slow down? Will it play well with our other tech stack? Then you have the sage. Primary interest is getting the project approved or helping you succeed personally. Now, I personally love the sage. I love working with the sage. The sage is sort of like my insider. And you can see how Adam was becoming my sage. He was becoming my insider a bit. He was helping me, giving me information. That's very, very important. Okay. Simultaneously, Adam could have also been, and keep in mind sometimes too, even though there's 5 different sort of key decision makers in corporations and companies, it doesn't always have to be 5. Sometimes it could be smaller companies, could be 2 or 3. They're wearing multiple hats. Learn to identify. So that's why this is a critical screen to take a screenshot of. You may not get it all at once. Maybe even print this out, have it on your desk. As you're having discussions, those of you who are actually actively engaging in B2B sales right now, or those of you who are about to in the very near future, be cognizant of this. Ask yourself, is the person I'm speaking to, are they a ruler? Do I need to adjust the way I communicate to them? Are they the creator? Are they maybe the hero, the person whose primary interest is influencing the action and direction of the team, in swaying the voice that others tend to follow? So there's a difference between the sage. The sage is trying to help me, but the hero is sometimes like kind of like the persuader. The hero sometimes can be your ally, your strongest ally. B2B, the best B2B, the best ultra high ticket closers, they know how to leverage having a hero. Having a hero on the inside of a company And the longer you do B2B, many times the B2B world, especially in the corporate B2B enterprise world, can be somewhat revolving door, can be somewhat incestuous in that sense. And many times you may know someone who went off to another company, went off to another, and you reach out to that person. And that's why a lot of, I came from Japan, and I'm not Japanese, but I lived there for 12 years. The way they do business in Asia, there's a lot of the business entertaining, going out for dinners and the karaoke's and things like that. Many times what they're doing is they're trying to find the hero and the sage. They're trying to, get that insider that helps them in the company. Okay. Now, not limited to that, there's many ways of doing business, but that was just an example I've experienced. Okay. Yes, and they are watching you. They're watching to see how you operate, how you behave. So ultra high ticket closing secret number 4, it's leveraging the multi-thread conversations. Here's an example of a real life situation here. You can see Gaydon Levitt. Thanks, Desmond. Justin has the keys and can kick off. I know the holiday season can be a little challenging, but we're all committed. This is very recent, okay? And you can see over here. So he's the CEO, he's the founder, and then he introduces as well too. Thanks for adding Logan, Justin. Justine is kind of the operations person. So could you let us know what role Logan plays? And then Logan chimes in. He goes, I'm in charge of the sales department. All training and processes, etc., will be coordinated through myself. I'm what Gaydon calls the chief revenue officer. So now I've identified the CRO, and I also know sort of the COO is in there, right? Great to meet you, Logan. Okay, CRO is a very important role. Raphael is our lead CSM. Raphael is no longer CSM. He's definitely graduated to a much higher level than that. He's moved on very well. And he's one of our best leaders too. I've briefed him on this account. There will be work from both sides, but I have told him to make sure our team and on our side does everything to model what you've done already successfully. Then once we have good proof of concept in place, we can do what we always do best, and that is to scale and bring on more teams while optimizing our processes. Looking forward to working together. And then Justine, once you have her in there and you're working well, guess what? She became a referrer. She's even reaching out to me now. She says, I have a client that I'm working with and we have some copywriting needs. How do I go about that? Thanks for thinking of us, Justine. Let me get Rich J, Director of Service Delivery, reach out to you via email. He's presenting at our quarterly meeting right now. So you can see this is multi-thread. This is an example of multi-thread. Within one company, I'm communicating to the CRO, to the COO, to the CEO, and this is just a small example. It happens every single day in B2B sales. Is this helpful for you? All right, moving on. Common B2B mistake number 5. How many of you love automations? You love to find that latest app. You're going to AppSumo, you're trying to find something, some sort of, hey, don't feel bad. I geek out on this stuff too as well. It's not your fault. We all would love to. In fact, I've always operated from a basic rule. If I have to do something more than 8 times in a day, 5 to 8 times in a day, I need to find an automation. So if you are looking at what you're doing on a daily basis, if you have to do something more than 5 to 8 times in a day repetitively, you need to find an automation. On the other hand, though, in B2B sales, sometimes automation can actually backfire on you if not used correctly. So using email templates, sequences, great. Zapier integrations, bot sequences. On the other hand, though, if you don't have things properly copywritten, it's not personalized, you're not demonstrating relevance, you're spamming. If you don't have the human element, this is where you're going to run into a brick wall. So ultra high ticket closing secret number 6. This is where psychology meets technology. What did I say? Psychology meets what? Technology. Type in the chat. Psychology meets technology. So you have to bring the hybrid of these two together to be successful in B2B. It's not all about tech. Don't be in such a rush to get and go and upload and sign up for enterprise level or business level on all the different softwares. They can be helpful, but if you lack the psychology, no technology is going to be helpful for you. So let me give you some examples here, okay? Here's the secret number 7. So when you start from a place of empathy, you form more powerful and more meaningful connections. You balance of personalization and using technology. We do this on a day-to-day basis. Even our B2B team does this on a day-to-day basis. We have templates, we have snippets, but many times, even within our templates, we personalize. We put things in. We send a message and we let our client know that we're not just copying and pasting some template, so that they can feel that we actually genuinely understand their business and we are giving them hints and tips that we actually have personalized things for them. Sales engagement adopts the empathy mindset and uses technology to make it easy, doable, and scalable. So it allows you to you can combine some of the automations, but if you personalize things, so imagine now you have the best of both. You're getting out and you're hitting more people, you're reaching more people. You're leveraging some of these tools to do some of the work for you. Scheduling of emails, for example. I might write a whole bunch of emails to my clients, but I'm not going to all send it on Sunday. Maybe I'm going to use some automation tool for us. For example, we use a CRM that has an email function that allows us, it even tells us, there's an AI in there, it has an algorithm that tells me when my client that I'm about to send an email to, when is their highest open rate. It can already see through the algorithm when is their highest open rate of emails. So we use that. That's a tool. But I'm still going to personalize the message. So I'm going to see, oh, my client tends to open them, it's Sunday today. They tend to open on Wednesday morning. Okay, great. So I'm going to personalize that message. I'm going to write that email. I'm going to say, good morning, John. I know that it's Wednesday today. He's going to be like, how the hell does Desmond know it's Wednesday when he gets the email, right? But it's scheduled to go out. I know on Wednesdays, I know most Mondays and Tuesdays, you're very busy. So I purposely wrote to you on Wednesday because I wanted to catch your attention. I think it's absolutely critical that I get you this information to help you solve this problem. Would you like me to do that? So I'm personalize it. I make it relevant. I'm using technology and I'm also personalizing it. So focus on building a genuine relationship based on value first before you think of selling. And I think we've conveyed that a lot throughout this class. Have we done that? Yes? Type in the chat. We have? Okay, we're getting there. We're going to drill it in. So relevance is key. Relevance is key. Type that in the chat. Relevance is key. Relevance in sales is about solving a problem that your prospect has. They know they have it, and they have it now. It can be a big problem, it can be a small problem, but they have it. And for your conversation to be relevant, you have to communicate that you understand it. There may be many ways to figure out what's relevant to a prospect. So you got to figure it out. What is relevant? So I'm going to give you, this is a concept, okay, high level, and I'm going to show you some examples, okay, how that plays in. So take a look at 2 emails here. Very quickly, tell me which one is more relevant. Up or down? Top or bottom? I'm seeing up, top, top. The first, up certainly. Now tell me why. Why do you think up is more relevant? Personalized. What in there tells you that it is personalized? I mean, compare, show me, what's the difference? And hey, look, I mean, the bottom one looks pretty decent. Heck, I'd even use some automations, and send it out. You just blast it to 1,000 people on my database. So dear John, I've been following your company's progress for some time now, and congratulations on the new developments in online sales. I understand that you are experiencing some issues with integrating new technologies, thus affecting the satisfaction of your current clients. What if we could provide you with an alert as to when a client of yours is not satisfied so you can proactively contact them to fix the situation? What's the problem here for the client? Congratulations. Yes, definitely demonstrates. You start off the congratulations. The pain is, second email, yep. Focus on John, not Desmond. That's right. Feedback. Specifics, problem with tech. Customer satisfaction. There you go, right? So the tech is costing customer satisfaction. So it's very specific. It's relevant to them. They have it now, right? They probably didn't even know it, but they have it now. Versus, hey, first name, or hey, John, whatever populates in there. Hey, John, I see you work at ABC Company. We have a customer success software that helps protect against churn. Are you in the market for a solution like this? Feel free to book a call with me by clicking this link. Right? I mean, that just reeks of freaking spam. So moving on. We're going to wrap it up here. We even broke the record, Dan. I think we did it under the 4 hours here. So we go. Assignments. Watch the Josh Kim video. Watch the Josh Kim. Dana, maybe could you grab this link and make sure that it goes out with the replay, so that if anyone needs to find it in the email, or I'll leave that to you and Raphael, and you guys can get that link out. Otherwise, because I think copying it here is going to be hard for people to type it in. But if they can just click a link somewhere and make it easier for them to find that video, that'll be helpful. Thank you very much to you and the community and the support team. Watch the replay and then apply the bonus consultative questions in your next role play and actual B2B call. That's these questions here. I'm going to quickly just scroll back up to show you. Okay, that's these ones here. This is one of them. Take a screenshot if you like. I'll include this also in the bonus, so you'll have all these three plus the other ones. You'll have this, you'll have this. Take a screenshot. You'll have this, take a screenshot. And then these three other categories, you'll be getting additional questions with them. Your assignment, take a screenshot of this as well too. The ruler, the creator, the explorer, the sage, the hero. In your role plays or in your actual B2B actual transactions, identify. If you were in HTC, we identified with the ruby, the pearl, the sapphire. We've talked about those different personas. Now try to identify with the person you're speaking to. Are they the creator, the ruler, the explorer, the sage, the hero? Maybe they're wearing multiple hats. Maybe you don't know. So let's ask those questions. This is going to be very experiential. You're going to be learning and doing as you learn. OJT, on-the-job training, as I was told this many years ago. So you're going to apply the bonus consultative questions. Apply what? Type in the chat. You're going to apply what in your next role plays? Bonus questions. Okay. So we're going to wrap it up here. Ultra high ticket closers. Ultra high ticket closing is about relationships. It's about being the trusted advisor. The 3 habits. And we're just getting started. With that, I'm going to wrap up. We'll leave it as you're closer than you think.